Call this meeting of the Toledo City Council to order. Its regular meeting for May 7th, 2025. Our next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody wants to sign up?
Yes, this is our.
You guys know, this is what our packet looks like printed out. This is how thick. We get to go over this and come in here and go over all these things.
That is why if none of you want to stay for the whole thing, we understand.
That's not you, Brian.
Not Brian.
Anybody but Brian can leave.
And Pitcher. And Lisa.
All right, our next item is I'll take a roll call. Counselor Kaufman.
Here.
Counselor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Mix.
Here.
Counselor Burns.
Right here.
Counselor Keating.
Yes, sir.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
And I am present. We have 7, we have a quorum, we have enough to do business. Our first item is under presentations, and we are going to swear in a new officer tonight. Sergeant Pitcher, would you introduce us, please?
Okay, so I'd like to ask Officer Christian Bailey to step up, introduce him to everybody. Introduce him. Fine, I'll do that. So, Officer Bailey is a Toledo born and raised resident. Graduated from Toledo High School in 2016.
Wow.
Began his public service career as a volunteer firefighter for the city of Toledo in 2020 and 2021. 2022, he began his law enforcement service career as a corrections deputy with the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. Until yesterday, where was his first day at the city of Toledo. I spoke to Christian before he applied and about his kind of career path and his desire to switch from corrections to patrol. And he spoke a lot about being able to have a day-to-day connection with your community and make a positive, proactive contact. It's a great mentality to have for folks. So we're excited to have you, Christian. Luckily, we got him into the academy on May 19th, so to leave us following Monday for 16 weeks to go to the DPSST Public Safety Academy in Salem. He'll return back mid-September and then about 14 to 16 weeks of field training service. If you'd like to say anything, give you a chance. If not, we'll move on to the.
That was everything. Just look forward to working here.
Yeah.
Hannah, if you want to step up, Christian's girlfriend. Yellow. Okay, have you hang on to that for a little bit, Christian. You just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Christian Bailey,
I, Christian,
do solemnly affirm that I will support
I do solemnly affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
and the laws therefore
and the laws therefore
and rules and regulations of the Toledo Police Department.
and rules and regulations of the Toledo Police Department.
And I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
And I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of a police officer
discharge the duties of a police officer
during my continuance therein to the best of my ability.
during my continuance therein to the best of my ability.
Go ahead and pin the badge. Congratulations. Happy to have you on team. Any questions from anybody?
No, all I'm going to say is that it's good to see you in our uniform.
Thank you.
Our next item is Police Week proclamation. City of Toledo proclamation, National Police Week, May 12th through 18th, 2025. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated the week of May 12th through May 18th, 2025 as National Police Week and May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of the dedicated law enforcement officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. And whereas the men and women of the Toledo Police Department serve our community with integrity, courage, and unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of our residents. And whereas Toledo police officers work tirelessly, often at great personal risk, to protect life and property, enforce the law, and uphold the rights and freedoms we all cherish. And whereas the city of Toledo proudly supports and honors its law enforcement professionals who exemplify the highest standards of public service, professionalism, and compassion in their daily work. And whereas it is fitting and proper that we express our sincere gratitude and appreciation to the dedicated officers of the Toledo Police Department whose service strengthens our community and safeguards our way of life. Now, therefore, I, Rod Cross, Mayor of the City of Toledo, Oregon, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through 18th, 2025 as National Police Week in the City of Toledo. I call upon all citizens to join me in honoring the service and sacrifice of our local police officers and in recognizing the contributions they make each day to keeping our city safe and secure. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Toledo to be affixed this 7th day of May, 2025.
You are,
Thank you all.
yay. You really love it.
All right, our next item is a public hearing concerning land use.
I didn't say anything.
All right, this will be a public hearing concerning one, an ordinance to adopt an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending ordinance 1417 Toledo Municipal Code, chapter 1.08, to update the 2023 Toledo Comprehensive Land Use Plan and policies. Also, ordinance adopting an ordinance of the Toledo City Council repealing Toledo Municipal Code Title 16 subdivisions and ordinances 1301 and 1355. Replacing with new Toledo Municipal Code Title 16 chapters for land divisions regulations. Also, ordinance adopting an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending the Toledo Municipal Code Title 17 zoning to revise zoning standard and regulations. Also, ordinance adopting an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending the Toledo Municipal Code Title 19 land use procedures relating to the regulation of land use procedures. We'll now open the public hearing to consider these items. All right, the procedures for testimony. First of all, I have to, so if you want to testify during the public comment, you need to come forth. Do we have the sign-in sheet, Lisa?
No, they'll just state their name and their a citizen or not.
Okay, so you would come forward, state your name, whether or not you're a citizen of the city of Toledo, and then you can give your testimony. And then the outcome of the hearing is that we will either pass all this as one or separate out as needed. All right, I'm going to call for declaration of conflict of interest. Anyone on the council have a conflict of interest on these ordinances?
Not a conflict of interest, is it, I attended a lot of planning commission meetings where these things were discussed and gone over, so I have knowledge of, but it's not a conflict of interest for me.
Right. Next, I need to read the statement of rights and relevance. All testimony or evidence presented toward the request being heard must be directed toward the relevant criteria contained in Toledo municipal codes, to other city plans or land use regulation, or to other criteria which a person believes pertains to the request. All persons shall raise issue with sufficient clarity so as to allow the city council or others an adequate opportunity to respond to or resolve the issue, or this will preclude appeal to LUBA based on these issues. Failure to address a criterion before the close of the hearing record, in person or by letter, precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that criterion. Failure by the applicant no later than the close of the hearing record to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the city to respond to the issues will preclude an action for damages based on those issues in the circuit court. Prior to the close of the evidentiary record of this hearing, a participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If a participant requests such an opportunity prior to the close of the evidentiary record, then the city council will either continue the hearing for at least 7 days or leave the record open for at least 7 days to allow the submission of additional written evidence, arguments, or testimony. Now I'll read the right to appeal. An appeal from an action or ruling by the city council can be made to the Land Use Board of Appeals by filing a written notice and paying the appeal fee. The date of the city council decision is the date the order or ordinance is signed. If no appeal is taken within the appeal period, the action or ruling by the city council shall be final. At this time, I will take the staff report.
All right, thank you, Mayor Cross. It's a large packet, and I'll try and make the staff report as brief as I can. I'm just highlighting the key kind of key points of the ordinances. So I'll kind of kick things off by kind of talking about a little bit on the overall kind of goals of the ordinance at work. So originally this was funded by a grant from the Department of Land Conservation and Development, or DLCD. So we've been working through, staff's been working through the updates on the land division chapter, and then kind of some general updates related to House Bill 3395. And kind of it's all lumped together, but there are the 4 separate ordinances. So we have the one staff report kind of describing everything. A lot of this goes back to a lot of work that the city's done in the past in terms of updates. So accessory dwelling unit updates back in 2019, additional housing code updates in 2021, a housing capacity analysis in 2022, and then a full comp plan update in 2023. So this is a continuation of that housing work. And kind of specifically getting into the House Bill 3395 updates. So those kind of a lot of those actually are some of those are already met by the city. So cities between 2,500 and 10,000 residents have to allow duplexes on any lot that allows a single unit home. So that was already complete in previous updates. And then we're updating some land use timelines based on state law. And then there's a section in the ORS 197A 445 around affordable housing based on talking to DLCD staff. That will be adopted by reference, but not within the code, because there are expected updates to that section with the current legislative session. And then around condos, Toledo already meets this and doesn't charge an extra fee. And then single room occupancy developments, it must be allowed, and we're updating the code to allow those. Just to read the definition of what those are. Again, so a single room occupancy development means a building with no less than 4 attached but separate single room occupancy units and a shared kitchen, food preparation facilities, sanitary facilities may be shared or may be provided within a SRO unit. So basically the built form of that is very similar to what a single unit home is, but there's locks within there to provide that kind of privacy between residents.
So those of us that are older, we refer to those as quads.
Yeah. and just to be clear too, the city would have not prevented those from being occupied or created within city limits, but now with the new rules, there's the new terminology, the change. And so we need to make it explicit that they are allowed within city limits. So that's an update to both of our, now what we're calling our standard residential zone and our general residential zone. Those would be allowed uses. And again, the bill, we received one public comment around single room occupancy units. And we have to kind of it's required to be allowed within the zone. And the built form of those will look very similar to what you kind of driving by, what would look like a house. And under kind of with all the other updates, a lot of it around the Fair Housing Act, kind of not regulating who's within the house, but just regulating the built form and the allowed types of housing. And that was addressing one of the public comments that we did receive. Another question, and actually, I believe it was printed as well. We received another question and then a public comment around the traffic impact analysis. There was a slight change in the planning commission meeting, changing it from the threshold for a traffic impact analysis around subdivisions. So subdivisions are dividing into the 4 or more lots, one lot into 4 or more. So that threshold was proposed to be 25 lots. Planning commission reduced it to 15 lots. Staff did some more research, and actually proposes a new threshold requirement that's based on neighboring cities as well in terms of kind of keeping it consistent, but Waldport and Newport have this similar standard, but basing it more so on the number of daily trips rather than the number of lots. And typically a single unit house, it would be 10 trips in terms of the ITE manual, and that's what we kind of rely on. So the new kind of proposal matching our neighboring cities is to make that threshold based on trips rather than number of lots.
Just,
Our time's coming up.
okay, well, I just had a clarification question on that.
Yeah, and I'm okay with you can ask the clarification.
So I did meet Mr. Robinson's letter and he commented on his concern was the cost of transportation, one of these analysis surveys. And he said it costs thousands of dollars. Are we talking like a few thousand or $30,000 for one of these studies?
Yeah, it will depend on the kind of the extent of the development, but I would say more so in the 8 to 10 at the low end and then upwards.
So it is a significant cost.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked. Okay.
And those are, I wanted to specifically highlight around the public comments that we received. And I know we had the general work session back in March to talk about through in more detail around the updates. I'm just going to highlight a few specific updates again, and then kind of from there close out the staff report after that. So again, goal supporting housing around the zoning chapter, definition updates, adding a section around allowing ADA ramps in the front yard setback, which wasn't explicit in our code before, making it clear for the allowance of replacement of multifamily and commercial zones that may be that was say destroyed, and that allows the outright kind of replacement of that multifamily and commercial zones. There's a commercial residential overlay proposed that in the packet, it's on page 135 near Beach Street. That area is predominantly commercial there, zoned, but mostly residential use historically. So this overlay recognizes that historic residential use and allows residential outright in that mapped area. And then the conditional use standards, updating it from 1 year approval to the 2 year approval, still allowing a 1 additional year for renewal. But what we've seen is oftentimes with the conditional use, it takes longer than a year to kind of meet all the conditions and have that development happen. And then now on the land division chapter, a simplified density standard in the land division around for subdivisions. The old section was very convoluted and complicated. We haven't had a lot of subdivisions, but the most recent one was actually a subdivision, but specifically a planned unit development, which allows for smaller lots. But that one was way back in 2006, Beaver Street, when that was approved, but it's actually just finally being fully built out now. And that was 8 units. A joint use driveway option, it makes it easier because a lot of the time you'd get these weird flag lots where you'd have a kind of a pole, that's the driveway. And then the flag was where the house would be located. So you'd have adjacent multiple flag lots next to each other and multiple driveways. The joint use driveway option allows for a shared access easement and kind of makes it easier for development. The flag lot option will still be available, but we're allowing now that joint use driveway option. And then there's specific standards around fire turnaround with that. And then a long-term agreement that those property owners would maintain that joint use driveway. And that would have to be recorded and run with the property. Better public improvement procedures when when Public Works is reviewing the standards for the water and sewer in terms of making sure it meets all city standards. And then for partitions, moving those from a type 3 to a type 2, which means it's now a staff level approval. And those typically are simpler applications because partitions are going to 2 or 3 lots from 1 lot. And then that's also in compliance actually with the state law in terms of what that has changed to. And then simplified subdivision phasing and increasing the timelines for the subdivision phasing. So if sometimes people might do 10 lots and then do the next 10 and then do the next 10. So making that a little bit more simplified within the updated code. And then I do want to mention kind of all of this. There's specific criteria that has to be met for legislative updates. So the first criteria is around statewide planning goals. And the second criteria is consideration of comments from any federal or state agencies. We did get a comment from DLCD that built on, again, it was a DLCD grant. So we've been working with them to make sure that we meet the requirements. And then we have an IGA with Lincoln County, but we didn't receive any comments, but we noticed them as part of our process. And then criteria 4 it's similar to criteria 1, whereas our comprehensive plan is related to the statewide planning goals. But again, the goal here was specifically around statewide planning goal 10 in terms of supporting additional housing in the city. I don't want to walk through every single code change that's in here, but that's kind of the high level staff report of the updates.
All right. At this time, I will take any public testimony. Is there anyone who would like to speak to these ordinances? Anyone online, Lisa?
John said he'd be online.
If there's
Yeah.
anyone online, please raise your hand electronically, and it looks like Mr. Robinson will speak. I do have one question before. Does the council want me to set the timer for 3 minutes or 5 minutes?
3. Hi, John.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll be brief because I understand you have my written testimony, and so I won't really go over that in detail. I just wanted to verbally commend the Planning Commission as well as Justin Peterson for this excellent work. It's a great job. Obviously, I'm very supportive of this effort. I'm good with the new method and threshold for the transportation impact analysis requirement that Justin just explained tonight. And so I think that's a great solution, and it dovetails in with the research that I did on the trips and using somebody from a transportation engineer, basically. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to add. Great job. I'm just very supportive. Thank you guys. Keep up the good work. I think anything we can do in this effort is going to get more housing built. And that's kind of my goal, is just to be an encourager. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, John.
Thanks, John.
Anyone else wish to address council? All right. This time I will close the public hearing. We now deliberate, and this is where we can ask questions of staff and take comments from staff. So anyone?
Yes. Page 37 of the packet, number 1. Confused about Toledo Municipal Code 17.46, where it says, other than residents within the dwelling located at the home occupation site, there shall be no employees at the home. What employees are we talking about?
37?
Yep.
Oh, that's,
Toledo Municipal Code 17.46.
Section A of PMC 17.46.
so that's 37, not the other 37.
I'm just thinking, if it's a personal residence, why would there be any kind of employee there?
Yeah, and so home,
Occupation.
the minor change there is just the residence, but home occupations are where if someone wants to run a small business out of their home, typically it's just the resident, not additional employees coming in and out, because it's supposed to be small in scale, essentially.
And then the next one is gonna be page 386.
I really liked that pamphlet, by the way. When I got my business license, I do a home occupancy business. Very good pamphlet that I received that explained that.
This is minor. It's just some spelling corrections. Under purpose, A, the word ensure is spelt wrong. Seeing as how it's
Which page again? Sorry.
page 386.
All right.
Like I said, I went through this whole thing.
No, it's just how much I gotta scroll to get there.
86?
Oh, yes.
It's just simple corrections. The word ensure is misspelled is with an I instead of an E. And then down on policy number 1, there is a period that should not be between the words that and are.
Krista's gonna get whiplash.
Yes, it already has.
I think you just typed the number at the top of your page.
It's not on the laptop. Yeah, I'm on something that I can get connected.
386?
This one here.
Oh, so that's not his thing. This is something else. That's not for him. This is the police fire department.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm
Frank,
wrong.
don't do that to me.
It was on the same notes.
Wait a minute,
All right.
that's way past.
I just want to, I want to commend you. I especially love the new definitions. They're clear, they're concise.
Yes.
There's no more real ambiguity there. I do, you have no idea how much I greatly appreciate that.
Yes.
And along with Mr. Robinson, I've been doing a little digging into what are some of the costs that keep the coast from developing? And I think you addressed almost every one of them here, because a lot of the other stuff is nothing we can really do anything about. I think you've streamlined the process. I think you've made it easier for people who currently do own land here in the city to actually get it developed instead of go through a process that takes forever. Thank you. Thank the planning commission for all their months and months of hard work. And after reading the bill that you quoted early on, bravo. You managed to do what they asked without turning it into another, for lack of a better word, roadblock to development. Because I've been hearing, I heard that last week from several people at LOC, other towns, that they're having a really hard time implementing it. So one thing I'm gonna do, Justin, is we pass this tonight, I'm gonna send it out to other cities. Say, here's something you might want to look at doing. That's how good of a job I think you've done on this.
I do want to say thank you to Arlene too, especially on the ordinances, because she is an expert on putting this together on that.
Yes, she is. Any other questions or comments for staff? Nothing? All right. I would accept a motion. How do we do this?
I don't know, I don't think I have enough
You
wind
read
in
the
my
whole
lungs for this
thing
one.
twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes the most sense to read that twice, right?
But we can do this all in one motion. So instead of having to do 4 of these, we do it as one. And you read the titles.
Do we need the new numbers?
That's what I was gonna ask. Do we have ordinance numbers yet?
We'll sign them afterwards.
Lisa will take care of that.
I move to approve the proposed amendment to the Toledo Municipal Code based on the testimony received, the findings within the staff report, recommendation of the planning commission, and the evidence and arguments before the city council at the public hearing on May 7th, 2025. The city council determines that the request by the city of Toledo ZOA-1-25 and PA-1-25 to amend sections of the Toledo Land Division Ordinance, zoning ordinance, land use procedures ordinance, and comprehensive plan complies with the criteria identified in TMC 19.20.070, parenthetical A2, parenthetical D, as stated in the findings contained in the staff report. The city
You're doing good.
The city council hereby adopts the staff report as findings and the other evidence in the record as findings supporting its decision and approves application ZOA-1-25 and PA-1-25. In addition, the city council adopts the following ordinances by reading by title twice. 1, ordinance number, fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending ordinance 1417 Toledo Municipal Code Chapter 1.08 to update the 2023 Toledo Comprehensive Land Use Plan and Policies. 2, ordinance number, fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council repealing Toledo Municipal Code Title 16 subdivisions and ordinances 1301 and 1355, replacing with new Toledo Municipal Code Title 16 chapters for land divisions regulations. 3, ordinance number, fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending the Toledo Municipal Code Title 17 zoning to revise zoning standard and regulations. And 4, ordinance number, fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending the Toledo Municipal Code Title 19 land use procedures relating to the regulation of land use procedures. Once again, that is ordinance number 1. Fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending ordinance 1417, Toledo Municipal Code Chapter 1.08 to update the 2023 Toledo Comprehensive Land Use Plan and Policies. 2, ordinance number, fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council repealing Toledo Municipal Code Title 16 subdivisions and ordinances 1301 and 1355, replacing with new Toledo Municipal Code Title 16 chapters for land division regulations. 3, ordinance number, we will fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending the Toledo Municipal Code Title 17 zoning to revise zoning standard and regulations. And 4, ordinance number, we will fill it in later, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council amending the Toledo Municipal Code Title 19 land use procedures relating to the regulation of land use procedures.
It's been moved by Tracy and seconded by Kim for that motion. Only one of us needs to go through that whole hoopla.
I agree.
It used to be me all the time. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Mix.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Public hearing. All right. Go forth and conquer, Justin. All right, visitors' public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on any items not on tonight's agenda? Was that a yes or was that a wave? That was a wave, okay. Lisa, anyone online?
I think Mr. Robinson raised his hand again. Sorry,
It's okay.
screen. He still has permission to talk.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, terrific. I'll keep this brief. Hey, I just wanted to comment on the proposal that's on the agenda for later about hiring Jensen Strategies to perform an after-action review. And I noticed that in that proposal, most of the stakeholder interviews are with city employees with just an option for external stakeholder interviews. And I feel that there'd be some benefit to getting input from select external stakeholders. And as such, I would volunteer to be one of those interviewed. What I would be able to provide would be valuable input on external communication from city management and needed improvements in systems and process surrounding said communications externally from the city to external stakeholders like myself. And so that's all I wanted to do was have you consider that when you discuss that. And I appreciate your consideration. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, John. Anyone else wish to address council? All right. We now have our consent agenda, which includes resolution number 1570, a resolution recognizing grant donation revenue and making appropriations for spending for fiscal year 2024-2025. Resolution number 1571, a resolution of the city council receiving the audit as presented by Hanford and Associates. And resolution number 1572, a resolution approving transfer of funds between budget lines for fiscal year 2024-2025.
I would move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second that.
It's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Frank to accept the consent agenda as presented. Take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman.
Yes.
Counselor Burns.
Yes.
Counselor Keating.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Sobiek.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Mix.
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. All right, I'm changing the order of some of the items. We're going to move first to the Toledo after action review proposal. Is that correct? Because they're online, right?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have that, you have in your packet a appreciate myself explaining very, very briefly that this is in response from the retreat that you did and comments that you've made to me otherwise during council meetings that you see some form of scope of work with respect to the events of the past year, trying to put those in some semblance of some package of information that you can use, one, to analyze what happened, and two, to help you go forward and avoid similar circumstance and somehow improve just to work towards continued excellence for the city. So I don't know if that's the best way to put that, but we do. Based on that, I committed to you that I would try to get you that scope of work, and I think we were able to go one step further and get you an actual proposal to do that work. So as you can see from my report, I tested the waters in a number of areas trying to find people that could do this, and I think we've landed on somebody, a team of folks. One member of the team certainly they're quite familiar with, Eric Jensen, because he's doing recruitment for the city manager, who's partnered up with Sia Lindstrom, who is well known in the field, and Lindstrom LLC, I believe, is her private company. They are both available to you on the video, I believe.
Yes.
And can speak further to this project, and you have the proposal in your packet. Short to the point. And I think it nails it down pretty nicely.
I think this is what we were wanting.
You want them to leave any comments, Mayor?
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this? Oh, are they? Okay. I'm used to looking up and seeing another screen if there's somebody actually on.
They should have access to there.
There we go. Hi, any comments that you'd like to make to us while I scroll?
Good evening, Mayor, Councilors. It's really a pleasure to meet you. My name is Sia Lindstrom, and we've partnered with Jensen Strategies to bring you this proposal for an after-action review. It's something that I think we could bring a good skill set to help you through this transition. Eric and I bring long history with local government. I bring both city and county experience, and I see Eric is popping on there too. We would be able to work well together to make sure that we are integrating the after action review with your city council recruitment. So we're laying a really good foundation for your new city manager coming in. So we look forward to partnering with you, and we welcome any questions you might have.
Council, any questions? The only comment I would have is oh, sorry, no, I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Let me lean
I
forward.
was kind of building up to the, in my head a little bit.
Okay,
The one thing that, just to revisit a little bit, and I'm partially speaking to the public in this, we talked a couple months ago about a lot of frustration, I think, on the council side, as well as on the public side of everything that's kind of contained in this project scope, from the previous city manager, the finance director as acting city manager, leave for the fire chief, things like that there wasn't a whole lot of transparency, right? There was this feeling that, the public wanted more information about what was going on, why things were happening the way they were. And I think we all felt that frustration. And so one of the goals that I think this council had, and please correct me if I'm wrong, was really to try to find a way to satisfy that that need for some transparency, to build some public trust up again between the city and the people that it serves. So the one kind of real thing that I want to look at here is, or that I want to think about, or hear a little bit more about, is the intention of the results of this as something that can be presented to the public, or what from this can be available for public consumption.
Sure. And David, I'd invite you to chime in too, as you like. So the intention is actually to create a report that is intended for public consumption. David was great about expressing to us your desire for transparency in this process. And so we've deliberately designed a process that would allow that to happen. So the final report would be something that would be available for community comment and for you all to talk about publicly.
I will just chime in, and it was obvious to me how important that was to the council as a whole, to achieve that level of transparency. At the same time, the guardrails have to remain in place with respect to what is confidential. That'll be the tightrope they have to walk, but that's what we set out for.
I think there's one more piece that we're not really touching on, and I think not that this isn't going to touch on that, because this is actually going to give us the tools to move forward with it. Is part of the reason that we have felt so strongly that we want to do this is so many things went wrong that were not anticipated or that we didn't know about. How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? What policies, procedures do we need to put in place or change so that these situations never come up again? Is there some way that we can save our city the heartache in the future by making sure that we have clear policies in place, clear procedures in place, that we all know what to do when we have an issue? And I'm hoping that this is going to be step one in us actually getting there.
Well, I'm hoping we've taken step 1, 2, and 3 already, and this is starting as a piece of that process. Yeah. I think we're working towards a number of things that, what should amount to continue to an improved way of delivering services for the city. This clearly is targeted towards taking a big leap forward.
Yes.
I would like the external stakeholders to not be an option. I would like it to be mandatory because of just that very thing, because there were a lot of things that were out to the public in ways that weren't, for lack of a better word, official send-outs. It was the way things were handled. It was communications off the cuff. It was those type of things. And I think external to the city people, I think will help raise those issues and help us get a better handle on like those things so that we don't have it happen again.
Yeah, and some clarification to my comments and questions were, I was elected in November, so I joined council after the investigations were pretty much concluded. Or I believe all the, everything that a lot of this is covering was already concluded, and we were kind of in that decision phase of things when I was brought on. But one of the things that I really saw, I think, from the community side, as well as kind of sitting in some of those council meetings about those decisions, was that sense of kind of surprise and frustration on all sides of how much of it had to be confidential, of how little could be shared, how little conversation could be happening with the public present or, with the public involved. So I absolutely agree with you, Rod. I think having some sort of, public input session or, some sort of way to collect feedback, whether it's a survey, whether, something that is distributed that gives people the ability to kind of say, this is where we were really frustrated. I think I got to feel it, unlike some other counselors. I got to feel it from both sides. As the one counselor who was a member of the public when all this was going on.
Did that make sense?
And I appreciate that feedback and the importance of the community side of this as well, and hearing about the community impact that had. And with your permission, we'll work with your interim city manager to figure out how to integrate that piece to this proposal in a way that keeps the full project whole and working well. So let me work with David and figure out how we can pull that piece in.
Sounds good. Any other questions for them?
Not for them, but just the last statement on this recommendation. Are we deciding to take this payment from the council strategic reserve?
I think it's a good place for it to come from.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the proposal as presented and authorize city manager pro tem to execute a contract with Jensen Strategies per the attached proposal, subject to legal review and approval of the form contract. It is recommended that payment for this project come from council strategic review and be so designated in the motion.
I'll second that. Or Andrew.
It has been moved by Frank and seconded by Tracy to approve proposal as presented and authorize the city manager pro tem to execute a contract with Jensen Strategies for the attached proposal, subject to legal review and approval of the form of contract. It is recommended that payment for this project, not otherwise budgeted, come from the council strategic reserve and be so designated in the motion. I will take a roll call vote. Councilor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilor Burns,
Yes.
Councilor Keating,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Councilor Mix,
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Can I just say, David, thank you for helping us to define this. I think it was something we were really struggling because we knew we wanted something and we knew that the community wanted and needed something. And I think that you did a really good job of capturing what we were going for when we were struggling to kind of put it into clear.
You were the only one struggling. I was struggling. What it was we were asking for, and I was so grateful to find a resource like Cena and Eric to do this kind of work, because I challenged the management community on the listserv to tell me, what is it am I looking for?
Yeah, David, you did a good job and came back with exactly what we were asking for.
See, now, once they do this, do a good job, they're gonna have a model that they can sell throughout the state.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, so
Did we get a cut of that?
are we the first?
I think they gave us I think they gave us a discounted rate for this.
So are we the first to do something like this? Is this not a common thing?
No, it's not common at all.
No, not exactly like this.
Okay.
Sia, Eric, I mean, you wanna jump in on that? I mean, this is a little bit unusual in terms of work product, not in terms of what we're studying.
Yeah.
I'll jump in and just say, we do a lot of organizational assessments. This is a different way of looking at it, which I think is most constructive for you folks. And but the same sort of principles apply in terms of how we apply the lens to the product. So, but we do a lot of assessments.
I'm gonna add it, and this is kudos to you, frankly, because I'm gonna add, it's not a lot of cities that I've worked at where things have gone sour. And then a lot of cities go sour, where people are so willing to take a look back and say, so what went wrong, or what can we do to fix it? I mean, that's.
Yeah, we all have
We live here.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it's still hard to go back and say, well.
We don't want
you know,
anyone else to get.
Because you're all mostly there, and to go back and say, what did I do wrong? And what can I do to fix that going forward? That's
Well, we don't want to do it.
not a common response. in my experience.
Well, I'll be honest, I think that's part of what makes us Toledo, Toledo. Because we want to get better. We don't want to be stagnant. We don't want to keep going through the same crap every 15 years. I mean, that's just bluntly the way I can put it. And it's one of the joys of living here. All right, we'll move on to our next item, which is the consideration to approve addendum number 1 to 2021 supplemental intergovernmental agreement with the Greater Toledo Pool and Recreation District.
Back a few hundred pages.
That's on page 345.
Oh, thank you so much.
You have my,
Roy?
We have that?
It's 345.
you have representatives from the pool district here. Nick Roy is here to speak to you, and you have my RCA to you. I will say that I, just with apologies that it's coming to you this late. I sat on it because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it very well. I had Roy spent some time with me. You spent some time with me. The prior city attorney spent some time with me. I now get it. I think I'm comfortable. I'm sorry that we held it up because they have some deadlines coming and want to get them.
If you haven't noticed, we do things a little unconventionally at times.
Yes.
Right. So, Roy, you want to walk us through this really quick?
I can do that really quick, because actually it's a very simple thing.
I know.
When the district was first formed, we took over the operations and the maintenance of the existing pool structure and somewhat the maintenance of the surrounding grounds. Part of the lease agreement stated that we could do that, but of course, the property itself still belongs to the city. So the city still owns the grounds, they still own the pool. And it's no different than if I was renting a house for one of you. If I wanted to make improvements, massive improvements to this house I was renting, I would need permission from the homeowner to do so. And it states in the lease agreement that if the district at any time is wanting to do either major renovations or in this case, an actual complete replacement, we need to bring it to the city council and ask for your approval to do so. If I get your approval to do so, we will continue on with the process. And hopefully sometime in the future, we'll have a brand new pool. And there again, we're just leasing the structure. So the city basically ends up with a brand new facility. And so I'm here to answer any questions that you have. And
Any questions, council?
This doesn't have any fiscal impact on us as a city, does it?
no,
It just allows you guys to actually operate the way you need to.
it just allows us to demo the existing structure and rebuild everything. And like I said, it's still belongs to the city, still run by the district. Absolutely no fiscal responsibility as far as the building would be on the city.
Any other questions? Comment? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve addendum number 1 to the 2021 supplemental intergovernmental agreement with the Greater Toledo Pool and Recreation District.
Second.
Been moved by Frank, seconded by Jackie Kaufman to approve addendum number 1 to the 2021 supplemental intergovernmental agreement with the Greater Toledo Pool and Recreation District. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Mix,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next item, Approving an untreated water services agreement with Georgia Pacific Toledo LLC.
So you have the, you have
51.
Thank you.
You have the RCA was prepared by former city attorney Mike Adams. You'll notice there's a couple of blanks in there that we will fill those in once we have final action review on the water rates. And so, and I think there was some dates to be filled in the actual agreement as well beyond those. And so we will fill those in when we, when we execute and get final dates to work with, assuming that the council is content with this form of agreement. Brian is here who can speak to anything with respect to the operational needs of the water, the distribution of water. You have the city attorneys, the four city attorneys RCA on this. So I do my best to answer any questions, or between the two of us respond to any questions. And you also have marketing director from the Georgia Pacific.
Not marketing.
She's just the
Who's the face?
she's the one in the know.
Public affairs.
Public affairs, I'm sorry.
We do every year, right?
Yeah, only we're actually doing it early.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that was something we agreed upon because we wanted it to move to the fiscal year of the city rather than us coming in, later in the game.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Makes a little bit more sense, right?
So would you introduce yourself for the council, please?
Yeah, I'm Andrea Foreman, the Public Affairs Manager, Georgia Pacific. You've seen me once or twice.
Any questions or comments?
Andrea, are you okay? Would we just put in the fill in the blank amount for what you're gonna pay?
I don't know that anyone would let me have that authority, so.
Well, I know Mark would.
No, Mark definitely would not. And I did notice, I was reading through this as we were sitting here, it looks like this agreement is actually an increase to what we have purchased previously. The allotable is and I apologize, I did not review that beforehand, but we had previously agreed to 1 million gallons, and it looks like in this agreement, it is 1.25 million gallons per day of allowable purchase. Because the city is currently using 0.75 million gallons per day on average. So just
If I remember in the past, we did an over allotment. It was what you could purchase, not what you had to purchase, but we wanted to make sure that it was there, so it was available to you.
right, I think,
Like,
yeah, I think I just recall it being at 1 million.
I think you're correct.
Yeah, oh, so, okay, so.
And that doesn't affect, that doesn't affect how much they pay.
It just means it just means that they could purchase extra. if they
Higher
need.
cap.
And we haven't purchased for the last 2 years, 2023 or 2024, but it's just a good agreement to have in place to help you retain your senior water rights, and then also in the event that we get into serious drought conditions.
Do you want that reduced down to 1 million from the?
No, not at all. I think that's totally fine. I think our teams would appreciate that little bit of buffer. Like I said, I don't know that we'll be using it because we're in a consistent space of trying to reduce our water anyways,
Oh,
but
this actually says 2 million gallons, not 1.2. It's 2 million gallons.
That's the total.
That's
the total. That's the total that could be diverted by from the record.
Okay.
We have to save some for the city.
So at a previous meeting, I had heard some discussion, I think it was when Betty was still on council, about you reusing your water. And she wanted, how much are you able to reuse now?
So we are able to reuse, the water goes through the system 7 times before it has to be sent out via our wastewater. So of the water that we are pulling into our facility, only about 12% is going back out into the environment.
And that's including capturing the steam from Juno that's sent back over to you guys? They told, that they're capturing the steam from the big thing and they send it back over to GP is what they said during the tour.
So Juno is not gonna be included in our totals anymore because Juno has been idled and is transitioning to a full-time R&D facility.
Oh, okay.
So it will only be available for tours or demonstrations.
I'm sorry, it's doing what?
It has been transitioned to an R&D facility.
Research and development.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're not gonna be operating Juno anymore?
No.
Why?
The decision was made as a long-term business strategy, right? I mean, ultimately, we need to look at bringing in investors in order to make this a viable long-term solution. There is the good bones there to make it work, but right now it's not working for us. So we've transitioned full-time to R&D. No jobs were lost. All those folks have transitioned back over to the mill, so it'll be available, and as that continue, that's an ongoing narrative that we're trying to figure out right now, and as that continues to change, we'll let this council know.
Interesting. Okay.
Any questions for Brian? I can get off of that. Well, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve an untreated water services agreement with Georgia Pacific Toledo LCC.
I second it.
Been moved by Frank, seconded by Kim, to approve an untreated water services agreement with Georgia Pacific Toledo LLC. We'll take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Mix,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
and I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. All right, our next item.
Page 365.
Resolution number 1573, a resolution adjusting the rates and charges to be paid by the users of the water system of the city of Toledo and repealing resolution number 1549.
So this in Finance Director Richter's on, should be online, there she isn't. So she can jump into some of the detail, but this is a response, this is in follow on from the work session that we had. We walked you through the rate requirements that we were looking to help us balance the budgets in both instances, particularly water is a very tight budget. It's not seeing significant increases over in some time. We are working to, with both water and sewer to at least keep up with the cost of living plus with water to meet the deficiencies of that budget. And we have put in this coming year's budget, the actual request for putting in this coming year's budget, an overall rate review through our engineering firm and to update the rate review that was done in, well, it's been a year now, it's been some years. So that is going on. I'll let Judy speak to anything that I might have missed, and then you have in front of you the form of motion as well as the proposed rates, the resolution and rate structure that's being suggested.
I'd just like to add that I know that we really don't, nobody has fun raising water or sewer rates, but your water budget was just so tight. There was no way to make it work without a substantial rate increase. And so what we did, I reviewed what was done last year, and last year evidently it was sewer that was really tight and had a substantial increase. So this year it's going to be water that has a substantial increase. It's actually 7%, which, kind of hurt, even though I'm not paying it. I feel for you and the other users of the water, but we have to keep our plant operating, and this was just what we needed to get by with the day-to-day operations. It doesn't give us much extra to put away in our reserve fund for our bigger maintenance projects.
Questions, council?
I will say, I think, didn't you say Newport rates are 15%?
That was last year. I haven't seen what they're gonna do this year.
This is very minor compared to our neighboring cities.
7% is not minor.
No, I'm saying compared to our cities.
Would it be possible, this is assuming that we pass this. Would it be possible for us to do, for the city to do some sort of communications campaign that shows some sample bills that kind of meaningfully explains kind of what this difference will look like for folks moving forward? Because I think, we've recently received plenty of communications. We've seen it on social media from folks who feel like their bills are already exorbitant. A lot of frustration with the bills as they stand now, and 7% is obviously, a tough pill to swallow. But I think that if there's something that we could do to kind of communicate to the community where the majority or where components of your bills come from, but some sort of meaningful communications piece that explains and breaks down what your bill is actually made up of and what the change will look like with these new rates. I think that's something that I'd like to see. You know, and knowledge is power.
Yeah,
The more you know.
yeah, with that being said, I know we've talked about it before, but could you just go over briefly again why we're in the situation that the years that nothing was done and COVID and
So
ideally, we would be raising the rates like 2% a year consistently, but because there've been so many years of not raising it at all, this is
So-
what we've been saddled with.
we've gone at one point 8 years without a single increase in the rate.
That was nice.
Well, it was nice, but then we got what it came back to haunt us. Because if we were to essentially get caught up to where we should have been, at that time, it would have been a 34 or 35% increase in 1 year, followed by several years at 5%. We as a council took it
That's
upon
crazy.
ourselves at that time to try to stay to a proposal of 3% 1 year, 5% the next year, 3% 1 year, 5% the next year. This goes out of that norm. And to be honest, it's because we'd made those decisions prior to COVID. COVID changed everything. It's changed how much things cost. It changes how often we can get the things we need. We do, in my opinion, we do a much better job than most cities at trying to keep our costs low to our citizens. I've seen not just our neighbors to the west, but other cities within the state do 15 to 20% increases for 2 to 3 years. Because all of a sudden they found out they have to do some major project and they hadn't kept up with where they should be to be able to have a reserve to be able to do the major project. So then all of a sudden to show the people who give and loan you money to do major projects that you were serious. But to do that, they have to do those tremendous double-digit rate increases. As most of you know, I had 5 sons. Back when I was mayor, back in 9 and 10, we raised rates in both of those years. I had those 5 sons in the house at that time. My water bill in 2010 was close to $300 a month. They take showers. If I don't want to smell them, they're taking showers. It's running the dishwasher twice a day. It's, all of that. I get it. I didn't like the increases, but I knew what it meant in the long run. And that is how I look at this. We're stewards of this system and we've got to make sure it can handle being a good system for years to come. I can't look at it through a 1 year at a time thing, because if I don't look at that 20-year period out, it's going to jump up and bite us hard at some point. City of Newport's going through that now with wastewater and water because they have to do improvements to both of their systems, and those improvements cost large amounts of money. And they've got a few other resources than we do, and hopefully state government will allow for a change in the use of the transient lodging tax to allow water and sewer infrastructure to be included as a tourist expense. Because as we all know, our county doubles and triples in size depending upon the day for 4 to 5 months a year. Well, guess what? That's a lot more than 10,000 people that live in Newport do. So I don't want to get caught behind the 8 ball, and I don't think our citizens do. But it doesn't make, as Tracy said, it doesn't make this any easier, even for a 4 or 7% increase. It doesn't make it easy, but I think it's necessary to stay ahead. Yes, go ahead, Tracy.
I would like to propose a 5% increase instead of a 7% increase.
How
I
much?
know it leaves things tight, it leaves things short. But costs are going up everywhere, and I think we need to be really aware of what our citizens can afford. Just go buy a dozen eggs or a gallon of milk and then imagine being somebody on a type of, living on Social Security. I know it's simple to say for somebody in my shoes that, oh, I can handle, you know, a $350 a month water bill because I pay it. But these increases are hard for people on a fixed budget. So I really feel like either we increase it by a lesser amount or we try to make we find some sort of way of helping those people still pay their water bill.
We do have that way,
H2O?
yes.
Problem with H2O is if you're behind on your water bills, if you are not current, they will not help you. And by that point, it doesn't do you a lot of good. If you have not been current on all of your water bills, they will not give you any money. I remember that back when I was a single mom with 3 kids.
Is it still, don't take this,
No.
okay. Is it still that way?
Last I knew it was, but
Okay.
it was being handled by a community services consortium at that
Oh,
time.
see, we've moved that out of there.
And who's handling it now?
Salvation Army, actually.
Oh. Well, then that would, okay, then I take that back.
We went to that, I think the year before you came on council. Because we were in COVID and it was nasty and we wanted to make sure people got help.
No, I remember that conversation. I wasn't up here, I was out there.
Yeah, okay. But that's one of the reasons why we changed, was because we needed the people to get the help. And so that's why we started that up.
Just know how much people have been screaming just on social media, about how much their water bills are and how much their sewer bills are. And
That 7% from my household is equal to about $13.
a month.
Yep.
For your household.
Yep.
Judy, if we only raised it 5%, okay, let me ask this first. If we raise it 7% this year, how much will we need to raise it next year? You know, I know it's kind of a guessing game, but.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to say, but I'm hoping that then next year you can go back to a 3%. But I will tell you that the budget for water is extremely tight. I've spent some sleepless nights trying to figure out what to do about it. And actually, what we had to do was roll back some of the money that we put in the reserve this year to carry it over into next year, or we weren't going to be able to make our budget balance.
Even with the 7%.
Well, with the 7%, we're good, but with 5, I'm not sure what we would do.
And with 5, we would have to raise it 5 again next year, basically to keep up.
I would think at least. I mean, nobody knows what the future is going to hold, you know, so it's hard, but.
No.
I'd be more comfortable with 5% this year and 5% next year, but. And I know maybe it's making it tight and it's making it harder, but at the same time, I still feel we have an obligation to our community to keep it as affordable to live here as we can.
So
Does it make anyone feel any better if I tell you that we only did a 3% increase for sewer?
I already saw that, but thanks, Judy, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I just think there's not a big increase from 5% to 7%. And so, you know, I'm trying to think, okay, why would I know people are struggling. So they're gonna struggle at 5%. They're gonna struggle at 7%. So
let's just do a 20% increase and then they can struggle with that. Is that what you're saying?
no, Tracy, no, that's not at all. What I'm saying is, we don't. I don't want constituents to hate us.
Either.
However, I think they're gonna hate us at 5%. Anyway.
They're gonna hate me no matter what. You know.
But what I'm saying is, let's bite the bullet now. And, you know, deal with it. And if there's assistance out there, you can direct people. But
just using my water rates as per your argument there, the difference between 5 and 7 is almost $4.
so, but
Me, I'm on the fence on this because I understand that there's a lot of other people out there that are struggling bad financially.
yes.
But in the same sense, do we want our city just over the back.
Here's a little bit of where my rationale is right now. If 2 years from now, we're going to be at the same rate, regardless of whether we got there by 7% now or 5% now and 5% next year or whatever, we're gonna still be at that same rate 2 years from now. But being at 7% now creates stability, creates reserves, creates the protection that if there's an emergency situation, whatever, that we can make sure that we're,
A little safer.
that we're safer and that we're protecting our community from a crisis. That to me feels worth it because I'm again looking at it as if we have that same sort of, are we going up this fast or are we going up, level? Yeah.
So Brian, if you know this on top of your head, great. If you don't, ballpark is fine. What did the first street with the first street explosion, I'll just call it, when the whole water line did its thing, what did that end up costing us to fix?
With the water loss?
With the water loss, with having to rebuild it, having, all of that.
$750,000.
That to me is why, as much as I hate 7%, it's why I support it, is that very reason right there. One blow up could eat everything and we're right back scraping for the bottom of the barrel again. We can't handle two. We barely handled one last year. I don't want us to get to a point where we can't fix those problems for our citizens. And unfortunately, this is what happens. It's why those years that we didn't do an increase were so frustrating. Because if we had just kept up with a 2 to 3% every year, we'd have been in a heck of a lot better shape.
Well, we also had issues where we had a public works department back at the time that wasn't getting any projects done. They just weren't doing them.
I understand, but understand where I'm coming from. If we have, I can't go back in time and fix that public works department. What I can do is make sure our current public works department, when the stuff hits the fan, has the tools, has the money to get the job done and get it fixed for the citizens.
And will you, just for the sake of any misinformation flying around, the water money stays in the water fund, it does not go anywhere else?
So for those that don't know, water and sewer are what we call enterprise funds. And water and sewer need to pay for their own way in their own budgets. So it's not a commingled budget for water and sewer. Water has its budget and it has to support itself on its own. Sewer has its own budget and it has to support itself on its own. Okay, that's state law. That is what an enterprise fund is, because you're charging directly for a service. And that's part of the rub here. It's that's why I was not happy when we didn't do any increases, because at some point the cows are going to come home, and they've been coming home for many years now, and we got to get it brought up. Any other comments, council? I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 1573, a resolution of the Toledo City Council adjusting rates and charges to be paid by the users of the water system of the city of Toledo and repealing resolution number 15.
I second it.
Been moved by Andrew, seconded by Kim, to approve resolution number 1573, a resolution adjusting the rates and charges to be paid by the users of the water system of the city of Toledo and repealing resolution number 1549. I will take a roll call vote. Councilor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia. I don't want to, but yes, sir.
I don't either.
Councilor Mix.
No.
Okay. Councilor Burns.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Councilor Keating.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries 6-1.
So last year, it says here in the background, it was average of 4.23%. So we're talking about going up 7. So we're not increasing it 7% more than the.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, no, we are.
We are.
7% over last year.
Over last year.
over last year's rate.
Okay, gotcha,
Last year, we raised it 4.23 above the previous year.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next item, resolution number 1574, resolution of Toledo City Council adjusting the rates and charges to be paid by the users of the sewerage system and repealing resolution number 1550. Go ahead, sir.
You have, again, the request for council action in front of you prepared by Finance Director Richter. The amount in this case for the sewer, as was mentioned to you before, 3%. Again, the Public Works Director is present, the Finance. And you have to form a resolution in front of you for action.
Any questions, council?
I have a question.
Go for it.
I notice it says the practice of allowing customers to put their account on vacation shall be discontinued. So
That was actually done several years ago.
okay, it was presented in there as if it was maybe new, so, okay.
Yeah, it was just carried forward from resolution to resolution,
Okay, thank
but
you.
it's not new.
It means that just because you left your house doesn't mean you don't pay the sewer base rate.
Gotcha. Okay.
You continue to pay the base rate because that's what pays for the system to work, not just your house.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Would entertain a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1574, a resolution of the Toledo City Council adjusting the rates and charges to be paid by users of the sewerage system and repealing resolution number 1550.
Would go with Jackie Burns.
I didn't see you.
I was starting to say it. Yeah, I was
It
the
sounded
echo.
like she was the echo.
I was the echo. He's the
I knew you did that. I thought I heard
Give it to Andrew.
a girl voice.
It was. I was starting to say it.
Oh, it was you, okay. Hey,
You're good. You're good. You can have all the breaks you need.
Thanks, I need a lot.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Perfect.
I do too.
It's been moved by Frank, seconded by Andrew. To approve resolution number 1574, a resolution of the Toledo City Council adjusting the rates and charges to be paid by the users of the sewerage system and repealing resolution number 1550. I will take a roll call vote. Councillor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councillor Mix.
Yes.
Councillor Burns.
Yes.
Councillor Keating.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Councillor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. All right, we have a slight change to the agenda here. We are moving to consideration to adopt fire department policies up first.
Okay, so you have in your packet and you have online, I believe. Who do we have? You have Chief Rosen and Chief, for both of you.
I don't know, we have a hand.
Yes.
That looks
Getting
like
imagery.
No bounds.
We still have a hand.
I think we have a lot of people online. I see two chiefs. All right.
Well, hard to do, chiefs.
Two halves makes a whole.
Yeah, kind of.
So in your packet, you have the request for council action prepared by Chief Lapoff and I believe with the assistance of Chief Robeson. You have a set of policies that have been shared with the chiefs provided by Chief Lapoff. Initially, they have been shared with the TPSA, the Toledo TPSA, the union for the public safety employees without any comment, any meaningful comment for any request for change to those policies. So we feel, and then the city attorney, former city attorney Mike Adams said unions and is comfortable with those. So with that, I will turn this over to one or two of the chiefs to add any comments they wish to with respect to these policies and this action item.
Chief Lapoff, good to see you again.
Absolute good evening and hello. From
Good
Ben.
afternoon, or good evening, sorry. Good evening, Deputy Chief Robeson.
Hello there. And somewhere behind us is Deputy Chief Morford, so we're all
Why
here.
are you hiding the young one?
Yes, he is.
Why All right, do you guys have any comments you want to make before I turn it loose on the council?
Yeah, we have two minor modifications to this, and they're more typo sort of issues. If I could direct you to page 373, which should be page 2 of 4 of the document.
It would be looking at the IGA.
Yes, in the
No,
IGA,
not the
correct?
IGA, we're looking at our policy.
I have
Oh, the policies, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were doing that first.
Yeah, we're doing that first.
Nope, I have no comment except that, yeah, in prior conversations with, Attorney, Adams, after the OSHA investigation, we felt it was, prudent to get these policies on record. We'll be bringing more over every month for you to review and approve for the fire department operations. But these are pretty, clear cut. They've been reviewed by Stiletz's attorney and then again by your Toledo City attorney. So they're pretty clean policies as far as legal process.
Any questions, council?
Just a comment, going back to what I started on earlier. Page 386, section A, the word ensure is misspelled. That needs to be corrected if it's going to be in policy. And then also on page 386, policy number 1, you need to remove the period that separates the sentence between that and R.
Anyone else?
I had a couple of thoughts.
Okay.
I'm looking to see. Use of department supplies for personal use. It's prohibited unless approved by the fire chief. I'm thinking, I don't know where you built this off of. I know Siletz is a fire district. I know, we have a bunch of fire districts. Because we are actually a city, if the fire chief is allowing people to check things out, they have to make that available for people in the city too. It's an ethics violation to not. And I know we've had problems with that before with Public Works. And the thing that I did not see in here is, and maybe you'll address it going forward because you said you'll be doing more of this later, is everybody that's a volunteer or works with the fire department is an employee and a representative of the city. And there are some very strict ethics that we have to maintain and meet, and we can be fined thousands of dollars for not doing it. And my concern is, I don't know what kind of ethics training everybody at the fire department is getting, but they should be getting the same training that everybody else in the city is getting. So no one steps in it, basically. And I don't know how much of that has been done in the past. There's just a lot of weird ethics stuff that I never knew about until I got up here. Some of it just seems really stupid, but it's you can't borrow something from the city that isn't available to every other person out there.
Available to be borrowed by anyone else in the city.
You can't make deals with people for, and not offer that to everybody in the city. It's really sticky stuff. And as a fire district, you aren't held to those same standards. City government, it's just, there's so much you have to know about. So going forward, I would just encourage, if not LOC training for ethics with your department, having somebody come in and go over that probably yearly, just to keep everybody where they're not getting in trouble.
Because I think one of the things that we really learned over the last several months was, how much overlap there is in terms of volunteer firefighters and and how they are treated as employees, right? Employees of a public body of the city have, so to your point, one of the things.
Social media, oh my gosh.
Well, there's that too, but I highlighted a similar point of the On page 382, number 9, acceptance or solicitation of gifts, rewards, or fees for services incidental to the performance of one's duty. Gift law, as far as what is considered a gift to a public official, and that employees of the city are considered public officials, therefore volunteers would be considered, I believe, would be considered public officials in this case. And so even just the idea of, I go down to Double Take Donuts and they want to offer me a free donut, they only get to do that up to a certain amount of donuts before it, violates the $49.99 limit. So, really thinking about, it's not just about incidental to the performance of one's duty. It's also just getting into the fact that if a volunteer of the fire department is accepting something of monetary value from somebody within this district, that is, potentially a violation of ethics laws as it relates to gifts, right? So that's some of the stuff that kind of jumps out at me.
Question though, does it apply to them because they're not elected? We are elected officials, so we have a different
Employees
set
of the city have it.
Employees.
Yeah.
And volunteers, because I
Because
have.
they get into the whole, like, you can give a gift to your subordinate, but you can't give a gift to your superior and things like that. Like, it's very much about city, it's about public employees.
I just want to keep everybody out of trouble.
Yeah.
But I so appreciate you guys doing this. I think this is a
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
thing.
Much
Yeah.
needed.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to echo, I think, Kim's sentiments of, making sure that we're putting that lens of whether you're a volunteer or you're a paid firefighter, you are treated under law as an employee of the city. And there are some expectations that city employees typically have to abide.
Well, I have a question. Are we just gonna implement this, or is there gonna be like an annual training with our firefighting department every year, that these are gone over every year, so newer members are aware of them and such? I mean, is there something where, I love that we're setting policies finally. I'm loving that this is happening. I just want to make sure we're not just setting the policy and then putting it off in the corner somewhere and letting it gather dust. Is this going to be a living document? Are we actually going to be living this document and having the fire department review it and go over it and such?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Is that a question for us?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I wanted to make sure. So, the classic example is at the holiday season, a citizen brings a plate of cookies by the fire department. And the Oregon Ethics Commission has ruled that's de minimis gratuity, and it's not directed towards an individual, but as a generous donation towards the agency, and so that is acceptable. Now, if that same citizen said, hey, Joe, I want to give you $50, that would be a violation. And that's what this policy specifically speaks to, is individual incurring some benefit personally for them. We have citizens all the time in Toledo. We go to buy lunch and they go, no, we'll pay for it. We go, well, you can't do that. And they go, well, I'm gonna. And then we pay for the person behind us. And that's the only way we can rectify it, right? Situation without making them feel bad or actually angry because we refuse their generosity. So it's a challenging thing with that piece, but it needs to be, like you said, it needs to be codified, memorialized, and everybody needs to be educated. This is the rule and this is what we're doing.
Let me just add to that.
Go ahead, Dave.
Nothing about these policies is in place, state law. This is in addition to complementary of, everybody still has to be trained on their responsibility. They're district employees or city employees, they're all subject to governmental ethics statutes.
Yeah.
So they all have to be trained, and training is woefully short in many areas, not just here. That's one of the things that we're going to be working on as we go forward. But it is absolutely supplementary to what is already, so it's stepping into a vacuum that exists and starting to fill it.
So do these become a part of the handbook for the fire department then?
This will go into their policy. This is the fire department's policies for their.
Policies are separate from a handbook?
So, same as the police department. police department has its own operating policies as well as the fire department has its own policies.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
not, that's in addition to that is in addition to the policies of our handbook. And that's in addition to, or somehow commingled with the policies of any bargaining agreements that exist.
Got it, thank
So
you.
that gets preempted by bargaining agreements.
So how do we make a motion, since how that one ethical part has to be taken out?
What ethical part has to be?
About with the chief approving them to borrow the equipment. Because that part has to come out.
So again, I would adopt the policies presented that does not relieve them of any obligation under state law
Under state law,
to
right.
follow the law.
So
This is just yours.
this is what I'm recommending. We pass them. But with the addendum to the motion is to have that section reviewed to conform with state law.
Yeah.
Could we add, say, a 6-month review of these policies and,
You can say that motion however you want.
Sounds like it's gonna be you that.
If you like, you're perfectly welcome to refer these to your new legal counsel as well. For further review and have them come back sometime during the next 6 months with any suggestion with the, motion. But I would encourage you to have something in place now to meet the OSHA requirements. I think the urgency was there.
Yeah.
And, we're at your request, as you're sitting in the city attorney's work for you, you certainly refer for further review.
Okay, let's hear it.
I make a motion to approve the attached policies as policies of the Toledo Fire Department with a formal review with our city attorney of these policies after 6 months.
I second it.
All right. It's been moved by Andrew. Seconded by Kim. To approve the attached policies as policies of the Toledo Fire Department with a further review with city attorney within 6 months. All right, I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman.
Yes.
Counselor Sobiek.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Mix.
Yes.
Counselor Burns.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Keating.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. Now we'll move to consideration to formally terminate the previous intergovernmental agreement with East Lincoln County Fire and Rescue District and enter into a lease of facilities for equipment and apparatus.
So you have two things on this before I turn it over to, and this will address the point I think the fire chief Lapoff is trying to make. You have in front of you a substitute agreement from that was provided to you in the package that it contains some specific language change in section 4, I believe it was. Let me. The agreement.
It's going back one section.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, please send it.
Why?
Is that next different?
See, where was that change? With the right agreement. Okay, if you go to the bottom of a last full paragraph of 2 sub A. Parallels, but I can tell you it says where the language, where the paragraph starts is further acknowledged and agreed. Okay, so the change there is instead of we've increased, so it says after the language shall, upon specific request or directive from the Toledo Fire Department, provide mutual, not automatic, response to all emergency service calls within jurisdictional boundaries of the city of Toledo. Such responses, and then we cross out all the language that says shall occur, et cetera, up to we get to shall. So such responses shall be conducted in accordance with the established interagency protocols and under the general coordination of each agency's command structure. So that's the new language.
Okay.
And that's consistent with, you know, what we're looking for and I think what he's thinking would be amenable to.
Okay.
Is that correct, Chief? Did I catch that? Yeah, that's the language.
So I have a couple questions.
This one.
And I don't know if you guys want me to wait until you guys go over this a little bit more for my questions, or if you want me to ask them up front.
Chief, did you want to make any comments generally about this agreement at all?
Yes, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Did you want to make any comment, Chief Lapoff?
Yeah, so this agreement serves two purposes. One, it helps restore relationships between East Lincoln Fire and the Toledo Fire Department. And it also helps assure that we have a more full response to the city of Toledo. What we don't want to do is put the burden strictly on East Lincoln Fire to be automatic for every call, because the challenge there is if Toledo responders are responding, East Lincoln responders might not know that, and then we get too many resources and we've consumed too much time from both agencies. So by deleting those words, it's at the discretion of the Toledo Fire, either an officer or some other arrangement, to request that mutual aid. It just makes it a much more functional direction for us.
Tracy?
So my first question is, it's my understanding that East Lincoln County Fire District owes Toledo money for past services.
Nope. No, just.
They've caught it.
Mhm.
We've been paid in full.
We have paid everything that we have invoiced.
Do we have anything left to invoice?
There's anything, not that I'm aware of at this point, but based on the services we provided.
Okay.
And we're able to provide during this period, the city attorney in collaboration with everybody involved.
So that situation was resolved.
It's resolved as far as going to be resolved unless we press it further than that, yes.
Meaning what?
Meaning that we have 71,000 in the bank this year. And that's the limit of what we're going to invoice based on our advice from city attorney. We were not in a position to fulfill anything beyond that.
Whatever. All right. And so then this would start in July. Now, the way I'm reading these and the wording is a little interesting on it. The fire district, and I'm just reading one section and I'm looking on page 372 of my packet. The fire district shall make a one-time payment to the city for the month of July 2024, or 1/12 of the annual amount due, and 3 equal installments under the IGA within 30 days of executing this amendment. Well, July 2024 was a year ago.
Chief, can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, so if I may, so this is where the city of Toledo had a contract with East Lincoln Fire. And they gave notice that they wanted to cancel that contract last year when all the challenges happened at the fire department. Since they officially severed their ties in August, this prorated that annual contract. And so working with Chief Adams, or Attorney Adams, sorry, that's what we came up with for a compromise solution. So they're going to pay for the month of July. That'll be prorated 1/12. It's in arrears. And so that'll be paid within the time limit specified. Does that
That answers it. So the truth is, it means that we are not collecting all the money that they were contractually obligated to pay us.
We couldn't fulfill our side of the contract.
I'd be able to summarize a little bit of the frustration that being felt up here. A few months ago, council authorized Attorney Adams to, I believe, engage with East Lincoln Fire District to understand their points of negotiation for the IGA and the termination of the prior IGA. And there was an expectation that the results of that discussion were going to be coming back to council, and I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah.
This is the results, and then we don't have, obviously, we don't have former city attorney here to explain beyond that, but this is the wrap up.
Sure, and I suppose I share a little bit of frustration of hearing you say we weren't in a position to collect anything further. I'm personally very curious as to why not, or
with resources to provide the response that was required under the agreement.
So we broke the agreement.
I'm sorry.
Somebody did.
We broke the agreement.
That's a legal conclusion. I don't know who broke the agreement. What I'm saying is the obligations that we set out in the agreement, we couldn't fulfill. At least that's their argument. It's hard to understand differently.
Okay, so, does that satisfy? You need to.
yeah, and I'm also feeling like I'm on a little bit of a doing a bit of a high wire act here, because this conversation sounds very similar to one that we were expected to have in an executive session the last time this came up. And I don't really know enough about sort of the work product that got us here to have justification to say this belongs in this.
I didn't live those times with you, so I can't really speak to all that history. I can tell you that this is the effort here is again to move forward.
I suppose
this is as far as we're gonna get.
I suppose I'm a little disappointed that I'm also not seeing a memo from, if this was prepared by Attorney Adams, why I'm not seeing a memo, or why we didn't receive a memo from him, or we don't have a city attorney who was brought up to speed on this matter that could speak to some of the questions that we're having in a more concrete way. And again, I'm not trying to fault you, David. I'm just.
No, and this isn't a fault of the East Lincoln County Fire. I mean, I don't want anybody to misinterpret my reaction here. My reaction here is exclusively because we were told this would be brought to us before we'd be making a decision. And our directives weren't necessarily followed. And that's frustrating. Brought to us and it's like, whoa, wait a second.
There's an expectations gap.
There's an expectations gap. So, I guess my one last question is, and one thing I definitely want to see in here if it's not, I mean, I see there's one on page 374. It looks like under the building, a permitted access, the building access, buildings use shall be in accordance with Toledo Fire Department policies. I want it to be clear that any use of our building and equipment, it is mandatory that they adhere to our Toledo Fire Department policies. Not that I think they won't, but it sets a precedent if we end up having an agreement with somebody else that may not. All of these individuals, for the most part, I believe, are very comfortable and know our policies and procedures, and I have zero question as to whether or not any individual in this room would abide by our policies. But I think we need to make it very clear these policies are there. And not only is it meant for our firefighters to follow, but it's meant for any agencies that are also using our facilities to follow and respect these policies as well.
Contractually, doesn't.
Language, I'm sorry, what is the language that you're pointing to and where's the
Section E.
Section E,
section E?
and I see it where it just says, building use shall be in accordance with Toledo Fire Department policies. I want stronger language.
Shall means must,
Shall is
though.
mandatory in law.
Yeah.
What's that?
Shall is a mandatory.
Shall is must.
Contractually, law is must.
Other people know this stuff.
You'll learn.
It's legally. So what are the consequences if they don't? Say it's not East Lincoln County, say we have another agreement modeled with somebody else and they come and use our facilities. Once again, I'm specifically saying not East Lincoln County because I think it's unlikely that there would be a problem arise there. But say we have somebody from another, we have an agreement with somebody else. I mean, I guess it wouldn't really matter because this is their thing, but go ahead. Oh, Larry.
So I wasn't sure if you wanted a response yet or not.
Yeah, go right ahead. You can shut me up anytime and just answer it.
So going backwards a little bit to the payment for July. Toledo Fire wasn't meeting the full obligations of the contract come mid-August. And so that's why that date was picked. There was a number of pieces in looking at it that we weren't quite doing. Primarily because of the response and the transformation that was occurring at a rapid rate. So Toledo was, or East Lincoln Fire, excuse me, was pretty clear that if you look at the contract, too many points weren't being met. So that's why we came with that July date. As far as the facility use, that's a policy that you'll be approving and that everybody will be interested on, and East Lincoln Fire will also have a copy of that, and they will have to agree to that policy.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to make sure that was included.
Yeah, they'll have to actually acknowledge all Toledo Fire policies to be able to be in the building.
Okay,
so that,
thank you.
They can't do something as East Lincoln Fire that violates a Toledo Fire policy.
Because I imagine this will be a model if we end up having other intergovernmental agreements with other places. We want to make sure that we're setting our agreements, putting some solid things in there that if it needs to be replicated later in another, slightly tweaked and replicated for somebody else, we want them to have, we want a good solid basis and we want to be consistent. So.
Right. I totally understand that. And again, this is going to go a long ways to bring in both agencies back together. And that's critical to maintaining adequate response to the city of Toledo.
One thing that comes to mind for me, and this is just kind of reflecting on the events of the last 9 months or so, with all of the challenges, with all the problems that we were having in our fire department, quite a lot of our firefighters, whether a lot of our firefighters migrated from Toledo to East Lincoln Fire District. And that includes a couple of former Toledo firefighters who were under investigation, or there were questions about their status as firefighters in Toledo. One of the things that does concern me about this agreement, and this is not to say that I'm drawing any judgment on anybody. This is not me saying I don't trust inherently anybody's intentions. But one of the things that I want to make sure that we are protecting against is actual bad actors. If a hypothetical Toledo firefighter right now were to do something egregious, were to be placed on leave, and in lieu of an investigation or termination, they were to resign and move over to East Lincoln Fire District, one of the concerns that I have is that they are still fundamentally a Toledo firefighter. That with this agreement, that they can still be a Toledo firefighter if they migrate over to East Lincoln Fire District. So one of the things I'm concerned about is, and this is again, only kind of looking at those recent events. And again, this is not at all pointing at anybody or any suspicions of anything. I'm just looking at this very real situation where we saw a huge swath of our people move from one to the other.
Jump in a little bit because I feel like I know you're describing a hypothetical event. It's feeling like it's getting close to something that may be close to, may or may not. If that's the case, we just need to not have that conversation.
We need to know if one person violates these policies, will they be excluded from being able to be in our fire station?
Chief, if somebody violates these policies, will they be excluded from having entry into our station?
I didn't get the last part of that, David.
Would they be excluded from our station if they violate these policies with respect to use of our station?
So what would be the
consequence to somebody who breaches this agreement?
Well, we would go through the process, review, administrative leave, and then if it came to expulsion or termination, then they would be removed from Toledo Fire. And then it's possible, depending on that scenario, if they went to volunteer for another agency, we would have to have a conversation there. It would be assumed on my part that if it was an egregious event for Toledo Fire, it would also be for East Lincoln Fire, because they'd be adhering to our policies for Toledo Fire. I don't see where there would be a separation at that point.
I suppose what I'm asking is, in the event, promise Joe, I'm absolutely not talking about you at all.
Weird.
You know, I feel very anxious even talking about this, but it is really more about that idea of, does the city of Toledo have the power in this contract to say that if a Toledo firefighter were terminated with cause, you know, or an investigation was pending and they were essentially prohibited from use of our facilities, that East Lincoln Fire District would respect that? That we have the power to enforce that?
What we have to do, the power to do is terminate an employee that is as being described as responsible for violating this agreement. And if they go to work for another agency, that particular employee would be.
Well, this agreement is between us and East Lincoln Fire District. So I'm talking about an actual Toledo firefighter that has an employment agreement with us as opposed to, well, no, this is, when he's saying violating this agreement, a Toledo firefighter isn't violating this agreement. They would be violating, say, Toledo Fire Department policies or city stuff. But my concern is more that they get fired by the city, then go to East Lincoln Fire District. They can still be operating as an East Lincoln firefighter within this policy, within this contract is what I'm saying.
So I think all of these things are built a little bit on goodwill.
Yeah.
And our departments are trying to heal a rift.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think, you know, I think that became a problem where one of our employees or some of their employees are migrating back and forth and then turn out to be violating agreements with the other party. I think we as managers would take the necessary steps to stop that.
But that hasn't happened in the past.
Well, a lot happened in the past. We're trying to step forward for where things.
But I don't think that we say, oh, it won't happen, we just ignore it because of goodwill. I think we still have clear policies and procedures in place.
It's goodwill. It's learning from what we did and taking goodwill, trying to resolve our problems going forward.
So I have a couple of questions for the council. Would you like our current contract attorney to look over the agreement?
Yes, please.
Okay. And with that, have an executive session.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's one. Am I seeing consensus?
Before you go there, can I suggest something else?
Sure.
One, I would ask you to go forward with the agreement, but two, this is almost precisely why you just hired Jensen Strategies and Cia Lindstrom to go back and look at what has taken place in the past.
I understand.
I think if you give them an opportunity to do some of their work, you may be able to move past that disagreement.
I am not comfortable with approving this without having our new legal team review it.
So here's where I'm going with this. If we can take a 2-week delay on this, get notes from Mike. Let our new city attorney look it over, make sure the i's are dotted, t's are crossed, all of that. Okay, with Mike's notes. Okay, so Mike has to get his notes. Exactly, okay. Then I think we can go over the issues that the underlying issues I keep hearing here at the council. And come back and I'm gonna use a word that you probably don't think fits, but I think it can fit here. We can come back and joyfully do this.
Yes.
Okay, instead of what I'm hearing now is there's still a lot of rancor and there's still a lot of things because we were supposed to look at this probably a month ago. And it's just now got to us in this whole clock and we haven't seen anything that came up to it. So I would like to postpone this for 2 weeks, get an executive session, have them look it over, come back to us, and then we do it at our next meeting.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So my name is Jeff Doyle, East Lincoln County Fire Board member, treasurer, secretary. So speaking on same terms here now. So we were prepared and we have already, we got 2 separate documents from the city representative of what was in your packet tonight. The one, the separation agreement saying we would pay you the 1/3. You'll notice that it's signed. We had a special session for that because we do want to move on. We want you guys as a partner. And then the termination agreement also, and the agreement to move into the, move into the firehouse. I was going to ask you to table this on advice of our attorneys, we will not sign a agreement that has both of them in the same agreement. Our attorneys advise us to do separate agreements, a termination, and then a new IGA. So that would save you guys the trouble tonight of doing that. And I think Rod was smart in saying, let's table this. I think, well, all of you, but, and reminder to Chief Lapoff, with the, and I agree with you, Tracy, with the, putting these, policies and procedures out there for everybody to sign. That means you're going to have to redo the agreement you have with Siletz right now because it's not in there.
Yeah.
So, another, and then on another note, and I find it ironic that for years, the city of Toledo covered Siletz when they had no fire service for free.
Yeah.
And now we're, you know, and now you came to an agreement. We're not upset about the agreement. We're upset, loose word, about the fact that we are still covering Toledo when there's no duty officers. For the next 5 weekends, there is no Toledo duty.
How does he know that? Is that true? No.
Okay, gentlemen.
So anyway, we're not gonna argue. I'm just saying, we've been picking that up. So either can we get paid as they do? Or can they cover what they said they were going to up to 40 hours for? I'm not asking for a decision, obviously. Okay?
All I'm gonna say is that is a situation that you, as a board member, goes and talks to David, our city manager, because those particulars are not things we deal with.
But you need to be aware of these things.
Being aware of those is different.
Because if you're not aware, you hear it on social media or something like that.
You can't stop social media.
Exactly.
Anybody knows.
Again, so to be clear, East Lincoln County Fire Board District wants you as a partner.
We want you as a partner.
Exactly. We've talked about this before. We butted heads, whatever. That's water under the bridge, and I hope it doesn't go up in rates when it goes under, but it had to be done. Okay. But we had a lot of contact with your former attorney, and it just.
So let's take a look at
we're starting again. Let's you know. We've all admitted our mistakes, I think, and we're moving on.
We haven't met. Would you give me a copy of what you're actually proposing now instead of what we have in front of us?
Well, we can, our attorney sent that to Mike. I will get you a copy of that and get it to you.
There's no use they're reacting to something.
No, but I think this is so important though, that they don't really know the depth of everything that's going on. The volunteers, that most of them still live in the city.
Right.
They give a you-know-what about it. And so they still step up and go when there's no call. Last Saturday to the grade school, you know, when the fire sprinklers, you know, and on and on and on and on. So kudos to our people.
These people, everyone in this audience and everyone actually, I mean, all of these firefighters, regardless of the things that have been said in the past, there have been some hurtful things said and back and forth everywhere. But the truth is matter. I mean, I had something said to me that somebody said something that was, I just had to laugh at. And I don't mean it in that way, but somebody told me, well, they'll just watch your house burn down. I am married to a firefighter. That is not physically possible for you guys. You don't know how to not help people. You do not know how to not serve your community. And we respect you for that. And we appreciate that. Just because you're with East Lincoln County doesn't mean you're not still our people.
Well,
but we need a working agreement that works best for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you saw proof in the pudding when you were going through the tumultuous time. These guys were still out there doing this and not, you know, and yes, there's still a little bit of headbutting going on out there. Everybody needs to get over it, you know, and we're trying to do our best to, you know, do what we can do.
So Jeff.
So Rod.
Talk to David. Get that as part of the agreement, right? What you're talking about, the coverage, okay? Work on getting that as part of the agreement so we can do this in one fell swoop in 2 weeks. With the separation, as you pointed out, with whatever, you know, get them all talking again. See if we can come up with the fee that you think is reasonable, that everybody can live with, so that we can move forward.
Yeah, I mean, we.
Because I don't want to come back to this every,
No, no.
neither do you.
No, we don't. And because, we're moving forward with our department, happy to announce we ground broke last, this week. And so the fire station in Eddyville is real. And that was actually done for you guys too, because at the time we were a full, compensation to you folks for service. And that would actually relieve a lot of what you would be responsible for out there. So it's a great thing for the people to come and visit the coast too. Anyway, so yeah, we're not bailing, but we are certainly wanted you as a council to know what's going on because you have so many things going on, and I feel for you because
Well, that leads me to one more question. So if your attorneys are working at drawing this up the way that you have been told you need it done, should we not present this to our attorney? Should we wait till they bring us something?
You already have it.
Right. So from what I understand, Tracy, all they want to do is have that separated.
So you already have it.
Well, okay, so
Let us negotiate it.
Okay.
yeah, it's so our attorney looked at, say, we have those two things that we signed that came from city representatives saying, everybody has vetted this. So we were under the impression that everybody that needed to see it saw it, okay? So we signed it. We had a special session and signed it because the $12,000 that you saw in there, 12,000, the 1/12 payment, we were not more than happy to, but we were, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but past that, right, we're comfortable with it.
So we'll let y'all get your heads together.
Yes. Yeah.
And come back to us in a couple of weeks and let's do this with a smile on our face.
That's why I came tonight, because I was afraid that you don't have enough information to actually make the right decision at this point. And, well.
From our perspective.
Thanks for being here, Jeff.
Mayor, I'm gonna wait I'm gonna wait and meet with them or wait until I see actual proposals that we are being asked to sign. So that we can review that, because there's no point reviewing this if they're not.
That's what I was asking.
Well, that's because I knew that's what he would do. Sorry, I made the assumption. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Time.
I do just want to say, just for the context of some of my comments, to me, a lot of the comments I was making about the hypotheticals were very much meant to be that. I really don't mean any disrespect or to suggest anything that resembles, real life scenarios. Until I moved here 2 years ago, I've never lived in a place that had such overlap of volume coverage like we have here. And I love that about this community, that everybody is in these mutual aid agreements. I love how much overlap there is between Siletz, East Lincoln, Toledo, Newport. Our county, I think, it's an anomaly in things that I've experienced. And so it's a type of risk that I've never really thought I had to even consider. So I know that this does, if any of my comments did in any way suggest anything about anybody, that was absolutely not my intent.
Our next item, approved job description and mutual. I'm gonna say mutual of agreement, that's what it says here, from the Toledo Public Safety Association for the new firefighter position.
416.
You are so awesome. But where did I put that? Found it.
This, you have again a request for council action. This is a job description for what is considered a new position. It has been developed and reviewed and vetted by the city and by the Toledo Public Safety Association. We actually spent some time today going over that for a current memorandum of understanding, so that if you do in fact get to yes on this, you can immediately start recruiting one of those positions, a person for that position. It is currently budgeted for fiscal 25-26. We hope to be able to recruit somebody a little bit sooner, and we may be able to recruit a second one in 25-26, based on the budget that we've provided you, though it would not be at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So with that, chiefs, are you still online with us? They can speak to this if you'd like.
Anything you'd like to say on this, Chief Lapoff?
Yeah, just that we are anxious to move this forward so that we can start the application process and go through the whole background check and have somebody on board starting July 1st.
Excellent. Any questions?
Are you hoping that you can move one of the volunteers into this position, or do you have any thoughts at this point?
It's an open application for entry-level firefighter. There are certain requirements, so not all of the current volunteers meet the requirements. And we are going to look for the best candidate we can get that can fill the job.
Any other questions or comments?
There will be preference points, probably in the process for a volunteer. But it doesn't necessarily assure a volunteer being afforded the job.
Any other questions or comments? Right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the new firefighter job description and wage scales as approved by the Toledo Public Safety Association and the fire chief.
Second.
Which one of you wants it? Give it to Jackie Kaufman.
Okay.
She pointed to you.
I pointed to her, or your head.
Yeah, but I
was in the
couldn't
way.
see your hand through Frank's face.
I said Frank's head was in the way.
Okay.
Oh, Frank's fault.
It's been moved by Frank, seconded by Jackie Kaufman to approve the new firefighter job description and wage scale as approved by Toledo Public Safety Association and the fire chief. I will take a roll call vote. The mix. Mr. Burns. Councilor Keating.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Councilor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. Next item, seeking authorization to approve Pacific Ace LLC to resurface Arcadia Park tennis courts. Brian?
Yeah, for a little background here, the city of Toledo received grant funding to build the bathrooms at Arcadia Park. It's Oregon State Parks grant, but also new fencing around the tennis courts and for resurfacing of the tennis courts. There were a few holdups, but the ball's been picked back up. And the resurfacing of this phase is the phase of the grant agreement for the initial grant. Pacific Ace is a sole qualified responding vendor that would meet our requirements and with our budget restrictions. The resurfacing would be scheduled upon approval. It is not scheduled currently, but upon your approval,
He says that.
to have it done, starting June, we'll start the process, getting it prepped. Pacific Ace would come in hopefully by the end of July and we'd be open to the public in August. So, yes, ma'am.
Is the FEMA buyout causing any problems with this?
What's that?
Does the FEMA stuff cause any problems with this?
Not anymore.
What'd you do?
Nothing.
That Trump did, right?
Really?
We're just. Oh, the bear.
I want to know who the bear is. I'm gonna hunt the bear.
To be clear, we are not detracting from what's currently there and replacing the foundation. We're resurfacing.
So that
We're
doesn't.
gonna have it prepped,
Doesn't trigger anything.
holes filled and resurfaced.
That's a yay.
Okay.
Good job, Brian. All right, any other questions for Brian? All right, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve having interim city manager pro tem Klein sign a contract with the Ace LLC to resurface the tennis courts at Arcadia Park.
I second it. And I think that would be a great place for Merrill.
All right, it's been moved by Andrew, seconded by Kim to approve having interim city manager pro tem Klein sign contract with Pacific Ace LLC to resurface the tennis courts at Arcadia Park. I will take a roll call vote. Councilor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Mix.
Yes.
Councilor Burns.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Councilor Keating.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, next item. As I understand it, they've pulled out.
They have withdrawn their proposed consideration.
So we're not going to work on the human resource services at this time.
I may have a substitute coming to your way in either 2 weeks or 4 weeks.
Okay. Next item is amendment number 1 to employment agreement between the city of Toledo and David Klein.
So you have in front of you my request to increase the lodging fees.
Lodging stipend?
Lodging stipend, excuse me, for the months of July, August, and June. Largely because that's what's happening out in the lodging market. Where I'm staying right now, they are more than doubling their daily rate.
So you're staying at Airbnbs?
No, I'm staying in hotels.
So
Airbnbs,
when
I couldn't find anything.
approved your original stipend, it was acknowledging that you could find a month-to-month rental that would more than cover that. And I know they're out there.
Do that again?
When we approved the original stipend, this was something that we only approved that amount because we could tell that you could get a month-to-month rental for less than $1,500 a month.
That didn't turn out to be the case.
Actually, it is. I just saw one on Facebook today where you could get a room in somebody's house 10 minutes from here for $800 a month. They're out there.
Okay, this is up to you. If you want to increase it, you can increase it. If not, you don't have to. I'm gonna pick where I choose to live.
So. Yeah, I agree a little bit on both sides here. Is that high wire act again? No, I think what frustrates me a little bit is more that we never looked at this as like a 2-month posting. We never looked at this as a 60-day posting, right? This wasn't like you were coming into the job for just a couple of months. The time to negotiate this was when we hired you and when we came to this agreement. It's not like it's not like we don't know where we are. It's not like we don't know what Lincoln County is in terms of tourism and what rates look like. So there's a bit of all due respect. Where was this argument before? And then on the other side, I also, I wonder a little bit, I don't know that I wholly agree when I look at the bullet list of items about working fewer hours or working remotely. I don't know a whole lot of what I'm looking at in this bullet list that has to be in person. I've seen much larger governments and administrators of much larger governments working 100% remotely.
I've done the same. I did it for Gresham York.
Yeah, and I think part of when we had the agreement for your stipend, it was also a recognition that we weren't actually going to be asking you to be here 5 days a week. That we were very flexible in saying we recognize that our charter does not meaningfully define residency. And so there's a lot of room for interpretation and wiggle room that I think $1,500 was a concession, I think, for both of us to say, we're not going to expect you to be here 5 days a week. And so that expense that you would have, regardless of finding a monthly place or just coming here for 1 or 2 nights a week, I think I don't necessarily feel comfortable with doubling the amount only because it's so soon, it's not an unforeseeable expense. And I really do struggle to see why some of these things can't be handled remotely.
So my response to that is all of those things I believe probably could be handled remotely. Can they be done better in person? Yes. Did I give you notice at the beginning of when I first started this arrangement that I foresee that the costs in the summer are going to be, there was not rocket science for any of us. I knew they would, you knew they would. Do you want to stay with the current 1,500? And can I work into those ranges? Absolutely. Will I be here 5 days? Will I be working for you, but amounts to 5 days a week? I don't see why that should change, certainly not with the workloads that's present. Will I be doing it remotely more than I am now? Yes. So this is not, this is your call, whether you want me in person, if you see the value of me being in person, I do. Right. But if you see the value of me being in person more, then there's a cost associated with that. So it's totally up to you.
I appreciate that. And I think that's the answer that I was hoping for, was that this was a request based more on a preference to work in person. Am I hearing that correctly? That it is?
I'm sure it's a preference to work in person. I personally enjoy working remotely.
Because I want to be respectful.
A suitcase isn't a joy. But
I want to be respectful to what.
I'm just telling you that I can do a better job for you in person than I can do remotely, regardless, I will get the job done for you.
I would have to say that when we discussed this, I did not personally think about summer months and the increased tourism and the increase in hotel costs and everything.
I didn't.
I would be hard pressed to make somebody come in and do this tough ass job, forgive my profanity, but for low cost, we're asking this man to give up his life in another town to come and help us save this town. So
I agree.
me personally, I've no issue with that $2,000 less, just because of that reason.
Counselor Kaufman?
I'm tempted to say no and let's discuss it further in 2 weeks. Because I see benefits. I didn't consider the summer rates. I didn't even think about summer rates. And summer rates are here. So I don't have a problem with it.
I think we all were at least kind of loosely thinking more along what
I was
Tracy was
thinking Memorial
suggesting.
Day weekend. I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking the first week of May. Yeah.
I didn't even factor it in.
But yeah,
I was thinking summer rates. I was not oblivious to what housing was gonna cost.
Well,
But I expect, and you know, just like I'm responsible for my own housing costs, I realize somebody working remotely, there should be some, you know, that would be part of it, but we discussed this when we hired him. He had an ask. We did it.
how about, let me ask this. So I jotted this down earlier and I meant to ask it, but it might help us to know how much you're paying, how often you're staying, right? You know, that some of this could be also helping us understand, what are you doing now,
I'm
right?
spending 3 nights a week.
Okay,
I'm staying just north of Agate Beach in one of the facility over there. It's the lowest reasonable rate I could find. At current rate, it is $149 plus whatever lodging taxes are. As of the beginning of June, it goes up to $300 and something plus lodging taxes. The other option I have that I've stayed at is a place called the one room I'm in is captain's quarters. Is that there's a remodeled warehouse down on the bayfront.
yeah.
So me and the sea lions share that space together. Shades my childhood. I kind of enjoy the sounds of sea lions, so it doesn't bother me. So that one is even a little bit more reasonable, but less available. And availability by the way, is an issue as well, because
so
places aren't
you're
getting.
using up the full 1,500?
Huh?
You're using up the full 1,500? You're using up the full 1,500?
I'm using up the full 1,500 plus the travel allowance.
Yeah.
Counselor Burns?
I was just texting my daughter, her tenant is moving out of her efficiency apartment. And it's really cute. So I'm just texting her to find out what she charges per bed. I think she charges about $1,500 a month.
I'm open to anything, you know, frankly, if it's, you know,
So,
if it's
but
nice
anyway, in
facility.
response, I in no way would expect you to respond to, I've got a room in my house, you can rent from me. That's substandard. So maybe can we visit this in a couple weeks and see where we're at, or do we need to?
So
I
I
did have
currently
a
have two for that.
I did have a follow-up. Sorry, I had.
Of course you did.
No,
Go ahead.
I know, we moved on from his answer, but I had a follow-up to it. And that was, what about if we were to do something on a more rolling approval basis? Where, so for instance, we've hired a firm to handle our recruitment negotiation or whatever with our city manager. We're looking to hire a human resources firm. So like I look at some of these things and I say, oh, we're paying other people to do a lot of that stuff. So kind of let them cook. But I wonder a little bit if when things do get really busy and you need that extra day, right? So if you see an absolute value to, can we have some sort of a rolling approval process to say, there will be a council meeting where you can say, I've used up the $1,500 budget. I'm requesting an additional $1,000 this month for additional
So I am working the 40 hours a week, regardless, whether it's remotely, whether it's over the weekend.
Right,
whether-
and that's not what
in
I'm.
fact, I think I probably donated a few hours to you to boot. There's going to be plenty enough work based on this workload, everything that's going on. You probably don't realize I recognize what I do for a living is probably hard to grasp at times. And I hope it's clear when I come to you prepared for counselings, but I'm trying not to be.
It's all right. I'm trying to find a compromise for what I'm hearing up here.
It's not, the lodging market doesn't lend itself to, I think I have money for next week, but I don't for this week. I'm booking these things. The places that I'm staying in right now, I booked back in March. And if I'm gonna try and book for June, I'm already probably gonna be running out of options. Now, I'm good for the first 2 weeks of June. The first week of June, I'm in Eugene because I'm in court because we got sued by somebody as a city back a couple of years ago. So now they got me.
7 years ago.
7 years ago. So now I get the pleasure of sitting in court for 6 or 7 days. So I got lodging in Eugene instead. The following week, I managed to pin down a decent rate in the work.
That lodging shouldn't be coming out of this budget anyway. So, okay.
We already clarified that.
Okay.
That one should be reimbursable through the insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just asking because I'm trying to think about we don't, I'm hearing from some, and including myself, a hesitancy to increase a sort of guaranteed stipend of $3,000.
Let's do it this way, because I'm hearing that there may be some possibilities that we did more than. The last time we talked about this, there was an understanding that there might be some apartments in town that were $1,500, so they're still not completed yet, so that didn't happen. To the extent that there's a place that's available, reasonable, I'll take a look at it. If I like it, I'd be happy to take it. And if it can be done at the 1,500, I'll do it at the 1,500. If it can't be done at the 1,500, I'll continue to do the job for you regardless, to the best of my abilities, and we will get the work done that you need to get done.
I suppose what I'm proposing is this doesn't have to be a one-time discussion.
I get it.
That I don't hate the idea and I can't speak for the rest of, council, but I don't hate the idea of you coming to us every month and saying it's getting harder for this upcoming month based on what I project the workload's going to be and what the market's going to look like and what I'm currently seeing. I don't hate you coming back and saying, I need $2,500.
So the practical matter, what I would end up doing is rather than going 3 nights a week, and then all of a sudden running out of money, I would go 2 nights, maybe 1 night if I have to, then 2 nights. I might even drive in on a day, drive back out on a day, that kind of thing. That's the practical matter. So I wouldn't, from council meeting to council meeting, it's just my presence here would be shrinking gradually, and all of a sudden drop off.
If I go with nodded heads, let's bring this back in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give David time to take a look at that apartment if it's available. Okay, see if there's anything else out there that's popped up into view. Okay. And however, let's come with some solutions to help all of us.
Yeah.
Not just David, but also the city.
Yeah.
So let's come with those ideas. And if that's okay with people, then I would like to just table this until our next regular meeting.
I'm fine with that.
All right,
That works.
all right.
Thank you for this.
Next, reports and comments, department reports, they're in our packet.
Or in your packet.
Did anyone have any questions on those things that are in our packet?
Yes. City manager report.
All right.
I gotta get you it. Somewhere in your city manager report, it said that the 2 positions with our dispatch are not allowed in the PD, that only one of them is covered?
So this is the 2 positions that were dispatched, they no longer exist.
Right.
The employees are being carried forward under their prior salaries and, and they're supporting the chief. But that was pending resolution of what we did going forward. As we put this budget together, it became clear that we could not afford 2 positions. So the budget that's being proposed, now you can change that when it comes to you, but the budget is proposed to you is going to have 1 position funded and the other not.
And what is the LGIP account?
That's our savings account.
That's the local government investment pool.
Okay. Yes.
I don't like losing one of these ladies.
You know? I don't think any of us
You
like
want to write it
losing
out next time.
No, I said I don't like losing one of those ladies.
I don't like losing any of them.
No,
I mean, that's the problem.
that's all I had on council or on the report.
Any other question on department reports?
Ladies.
Katie
And Wendy.
and Wendy.
No, that we can only afford one of them.
For one,
So one has
because
to,
of the dispatch going away.
that's all that's supported in the budget, I guess.
All right.
When am I getting the budget to review?
The budget will be, next budget meeting is the 13th, next Tuesday.
And when's our first meeting?
That's the first meeting.
No, I think so how it's happened in the past, David, so that you understand why she asked that question. We have had a first meeting where we all got the budget.
That's when you'll get it.
Right? But we didn't have an actual start going over it until a week later. That gave everyone time to dive into it and do the, do the due diligence.
In this case, we've compressed that time, so you'll have as much time as you need to go through it, but what you'll have is 2 meetings within 2 days of each other. You'll have the meeting on the 13th. You'll receive the budget and the budget message on the 13th. You'll have that next 2 days later on Thursday, whatever, you'll have it, whatever, you'll have that time. You'll have as much time as you'd like. You'll have the 13th and then you have the 20th as well, a week later. So,
Yeah, we're getting on Tuesday and then we're meeting on
I mean,
Thursday.
in having gone through the budget, there's not a drastic difference from prior budgets. So to the extent that you've been through the process before, you're not gonna see a lot of changes in the numbers.
And the 20th. Also on the 20th, if we need it.
Needed, right.
Right, so
We'll
you
need
gotta,
it.
you gotta plug that. But we understand that 2 days from.
We'll need it this year.
We understand 2 days may not give you enough time to do what you want. That's why you
It'll
got.
give me enough time.
You're
All right.
lady though.
Can I
Yes,
I
you
don't know
can.
if that's enough time for Tracy, but if Tracy thinks that's enough, okay.
We were doing what we could. We didn't have, when I came here again, we didn't have an audit, we didn't have current financials, we didn't have a finance director, we didn't have a budget process started, so that was.
Yeah. So
Move it as quickly as we can.
with a recognition that it would be perfectly fine for us to be meeting on the 20th, out of respect for the volunteer time that all of us are putting in, volunteer time that we're asking of our budget committee members from the community. Some of them have jobs and don't have a lot of time that they can be sitting down and picking apart the budget in 2 days. Why not give us the budget on the 13th and then have us come back for our first meeting on the 20th and then have the 22nd be the backup if we need another discussion? Why not give a week? Why is that 2 days of a difference?
Normally we have a week.
Yeah.
Just again, to be respectful of our volunteers.
Let's let
Yeah.
our finance person, Judy, answer that question.
Well, the biggest reason that we need to have that meeting on the 15th is we have advertised it in the newspaper according to state law. So
We have a certain window to change that, don't we?
We could meet and continue the meeting and not even, just. Is that right, Judy?
yes, you could do that. Take public comment. And if anybody's ready to ask any questions, we can do that. And then the meat of it can be done on the 20th. And if we need to have another meeting, we can do that. But we have noticed these meetings according to state law. And if we say we're gonna have a meeting on the 15th, we need to at least open the meeting.
Don't we have a certain window in which we're able to cancel a meeting that has been noticed?
If we don't need it, we can.
I suppose that's what I'm suggesting is, again, I'm trying to, I'm married to a budget committee member as well, who has a day job. And so I'm trying to think a little bit about just this idea of what we're asking people to do, and how much time we're giving them to do it. I personally would like to see, I want to have time to digest. I have a day job as well. I want to have time to be able to read and digest the budget, and I'd like that week. So I guess to my mind is if we have time and we are allowed to say cancel that meeting on the 15th and say, let's do the 13th, the 20th, and then have the 22nd as the additional meeting if needed. I feel like that's a lot more respectful to the process that we've had in the past. A lot more respectful to the people who were asking to volunteer their time to do this. And I don't know, I think that just gives us a little bit more cushion to deliberate as a budget committee.
So I got a stupid question. Why can't we get it sent to us like now? Is it not done?
It's not
Because it
done.
has to be compiled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not printed yet.
Gotcha.
It's done, it's not printed yet.
So Judy, the date that we advertised we advertised the 15th or the 13th for the,
We advertised the 13th, the 15th, and the 20th.
So
I got a feeling that they could probably meet the 13th and cancel the 15th and go to the 20th.
Let me call the budget people and be sure that we can do that. I get really nervous about not following local budget law.
yeah.
To the letter.
So Judy, Judy,
Yeah,
can I add one more addendum to what you need to ask them? Okay,
Sure.
Let me look at my calendar real quick, because, and you remember those days, so you will understand. Could we also add an if needed for the 27th then?
it has to be that far out. We can't do it.
Well, no, what I'm getting at, so if you look at the calendar, right? We're initially meeting next Tuesday. Okay, if we go to the 20th to start the full blown meeting, going through everything, and then
Right.
go on the 22nd.
Or the 22nd, not the 27th?
No, we gotta add the 22nd. That's not a problem. All I'm saying is, if needed, we add the 27th as an if needed. And that's how we let the.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
In addition to the 22nd.
Because we have to notice things, okay? And I hate to say, it, Judy's been here when we've done the 4 days of this full blown till
6,
God knows when.
My first year was 6.
Was it 6? I try to block that part out,
she was barbecued.
okay? And that's why I'm,
Mean.
and
Well,
what I'm
the
getting
only-
at is that when you ask them, explain to them why, because I think what we can do is we can either just come in and gavel out the 15th.
Right.
We can just gavel it out, but if we can't, okay, if they won't let us do that, then what I'm saying is that then we have to eliminate the 15th and move to those next 3 dates. Does that make sense?
And the next 3 days, just because I'm having a little
Would
bit
be-
of problem
okay.
understanding.
The 20th.
20th is a Tuesday, the 22nd is a Thursday,
22.
and the 27th is the following Tuesday.
2/7.
Okay, the only thing that gets tricky about this is that the next step in the budget process is to prepare a form called LB1 and get it published in the newspaper before you guys at the
Right.
council get it in June. And given that the paper only publishes once a week these days, it's a little bit tricky, but we'll figure something out.
Does it have to be printed paper or can it just?
Yes, thank you, State of Oregon.
Okay, just.
We're working on changing.
I thought so.
Yeah, form is about a full page of at least a full page of
The full page of the paper.
So that's many pages. But let me suggest something here as well along the same lines. I don't think you have to, and Judy can correct me, but my past experiences, you don't have to notice anything, but that first day, we chose for whatever reason to notify 3 dates. But we can always continue a meeting.
Yes.
And that's notice.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I don't want to, I'm like Judy, I don't want to run afoul of the budget.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that is critical is that we take public comment, and we may have to do that on the 15th. I'll
Okay.
find out.
Okay,
But we could open the meeting, take public comment, and go home.
okay.
And I'm not even sure you need a quorum for that.
Right.
No,
Well, to open a meeting, you do.
Yes, she is right. We'd have to have 8 there to open the meeting. We can get it.
Yeah.
We can get it. Because we're talking about a panel of 14, like, we can round up 8.
The reaction that, we're putting our volunteers, I agree.
We also.
As we
have another hour, probably tonight.
Oh, no, it's gonna be faster than that.
Okay,
Please, God.
so did we answer all those questions?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. City Council, City of Toledo issue tracker. Any comments?
I have a couple of things that I think I heard you wanted added to it. I'd like to get a consensus on that if I could. So I think one, you wanted me to follow up on the after action report to make sure that it covered in, with respect to the public engagement, public.
Right, make sure.
She actually said it did.
Yeah.
That their product at the end is something that we can release to the public.
Oh, no, that they will engage the public.
Oh, I see.
So for instance, you wanted to have more involvement, for instance, joining volunteered. So we're gonna follow up and meet anyway, and so I just want to make sure that shows up on the issue. I think that's what you want on the issue tracker. But I'm looking for consensus on these things to add to it.
Yes.
Second thing I think I heard was that, and I wasn't sure if I heard this or not, but I assume that I don't assume anything. Let me check it out, check in with you. That's what I'm doing right now. There was a comment with respect to doing a media release explaining the water rate increase in more detail, of helping people understand what it is, why it's costing more to do that, whatever we come up with, something that provides more flesh on those bones.
Yes.
I think that was an issue tracker item as well. And the third thing I picked up on was that we are going to take our fire policies to Miller and Ash sometime in the next 6 months. It's actually part of the motion. So I don't know if that needs to be in the issue tracker, but it's somewhere in there. There's going to be a follow-up on those fire policies to make sure that they not only that we're, that everybody's following the ethics code, but those fire policies are consistent with the ethics code.
Shouldn't we be doing that before we implement them?
Well, they're not going to be inconsistent. They may be more lax in some instances with you, but they're not giving permission to anything that.
Okay, then that's fine.
We'll get that done more quickly than 6 months anyway. I'll get that over to right away. But those are the things that I saw added on to it. I'm just trying to
On
track your meeting.
the water bill and the explanation, will you make sure to just to dispel any misinformation, what the mayor was saying about water goes to water, like the money from water goes to water. It does not go for other services. Because there are people in town that have been saying that online and
We could just give him Brian's number.
we were trying not to.
I want to keep him, so we're not going to give them.
Those that you want to keep, you weren't pointing at me.
No comment.
We want you to be able to go on vacation and be retired again like you want.
That's the second comment I just took that.
And I think it would also help recognizing the significant differences between people who are within city limits versus outside of city limits.
Let me ask you one thing, because maybe this doesn't resonate, but one of the things that we used to talk about, because this comes up actually everywhere. And I think there's a lack of connection. One of the simple things is you're drinking a bottle of soda. Behind you, there's a bottle of water. That bottle of water filled by us is under a penny. That bottle of water at the grocery store is $1.50, but something, $2. I mean, gasoline is far more expensive. Water, and no, by the way, that water doesn't have to meet standards. Your water that we would put in that bottle would have to meet national standards.
Yep.
I don't know if that clarity is at all helpful to people.
It's helpful, but it's not helpful.
Yeah.
It's helpful for those that want to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a key point there.
I think there's just a value in a good public education piece about we recognize that this is a higher than usual rate increase. We want to tell you a little bit about what this means, help you understand where the money goes, and help you see so you can budget like what the kind of average types of changes to a bill will look like over the next year.
Okay, I think we're hearing that. And by the way, if you have specific suggestions, feel free to email me and we'll see.
Well,
I've heard a lot of good information tonight about what would make a great meeting piece.
I'm gonna add to it. So when we were at the LOC conference, Frank needs to pee, so I'm gonna be fast. well, maybe not, I don't know, he just said something. Anyway, one of the things that we heard, there was one town in, I don't remember what it was, I was too focused on cuss and discuss. And they received an award for their public outreach program. And what they've done is they actually started a bunch of educational seminars, things where people could come and probably like town halls or something. Citizen Academy is what it was. But when I left there, I thought, a lot of our people don't do that. But what if, as part, we could use some of our advertising funds or something like that to do videos that we could do links to, like, how is your water bill computed? How is it figured, and explain how it's done, because so many people have no idea. And then another one was, what are the different roles and responsibilities of different people in your local government and things like that. And there was lots of really helpful areas that they educated the public on. But we could possibly do that in something like a video format where people could just link on those
And
videos.
I know who we could hire to do it inexpensively. And that would be the high school, because they restarted their video production.
That is very true.
Well, and then you could run the audio on the radio station too.
So anyway, that's just something that I saw that, I was thinking about the whole time is like, how do we connect with people?
What about the Toledo radio?
That's what,
I have never listened to that.
I have.
I have.
Okay. Anything else for the issue tracker at this point?
Reader board.
One more thing, I apologize for not noticing this in a previous meeting, just city council and council chambers tech upgrades. The tech upgrades that we've directed for the city staff. This is back in January, February, where I was going to serve as a point of contact to work with some members of city staff. I know I raised it when you first came on board. I apologize for not bringing it up. Again, we've had much bigger fish to fry, but I just kind of want to make sure that that's all.
I know Jason has it on his Justin. It's Jason's my nephew.
We're in a hand up and.
Justin has it. I know Justin has it on his work list. I know Justin is working through his work list. I don't know what the status of that project. It's here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? How hard would it be for us to get our city council meetings posted on that reader board by the police station?
That was a good idea, yeah.
Not hard, as long as somebody we lost the person that had access to that, but I believe they currently have the process to get back into that.
Oh, good. Good. All right. Council comments. Start with Councilor Burns.
Nothing.
Councilor Keating.
One thing that I'd like to see us discuss at an upcoming meeting or have a work session to do this, is I would like, we just voted on a new charter. It'll be officially completely in place July 1st. We haven't made updates to our city council rules since 2020. And I think that some of the things that were changed in the charter will have an effect on the city council rules. And I think that there have been changes at the state level. I know we implemented an update to our electronic communications policy. There have been a lot of changes on an annual basis to electronic communications policy, how it relates to things like public meeting law and things like that. I think there's an opportunity for us now to try to get on a cycle where when we are making updates to our charter, we are also taking a look meaningfully at our council rules. And so I'd like this to be something that we begin to look at soon as we get closer to that point where, yes, our charter is in effect, but it's everything budgetarily is, I think, caught up on July 1st. It would be good to kind of try to do both of these around the same time. Particularly, I raise this also a little bit just because I want to make sure that we're also looking at kind of some historical over the past several months of having a couple of city managers, city attorneys, city staff. We've gotten a lot of differing practices that we've been advised on as a city council for how we communicate electronically with city staff and with each other as it relates to things like public meeting law. And so this is not at all about saying who is right, what the exact right thing is. I'm not 100% sure what the exact right thing is, but I'd like to codify it. I'd like to actually sit down and actually find out and maybe work with Miller Nash and with our our city manager, and put it into our city council rules so that we have something that we can follow for how we interact with city staff to protect ourselves, to protect our city staff, and to protect our city. Because I think that a lot of these things are kind of missing from our city council rules in a way that could provide us guidance on some of these technical things. So I think we're overdue for an update to our city council rules, and I think that that's something that can be added to it.
Well, FYI, normally that would have been done in January. Anything else, Andrew?
That's all, thank you.
Next.
It's council comments, right?
Yep.
Okay. So LOC conference was, but I didn't get to go to all of the things. There was a lot of good ideas that I think were there. And a couple of those things I mentioned, and some of them I'm still hashing around. I think a lot of time I was focused on outreach and stuff, but they had some good seminars that gave us some good information, and I and even networking with some of the other cities. We are very well known. Good and bad. And yet at the same time, everybody's like, oh, we love Toledo. It's beautiful. And you know, we love to come to your town. So bad enough wasn't bad enough to keep them away. So that's good too. So yeah, I was glad I made it. I wasn't quite able to go to everything, but I did greatly benefit from some of the things that we did go to, and I came home with 25,000 pens. And
Your son stole them all.
he did, not all of them, I hid some. And so, yeah, it was good, it was beneficial, and it was lots of good information, so I'm looking forward to the next one. Yeah, I think that's it.
Frank?
I only have two things. I'll make it quick. As soon as the mayor can give me the email addresses for two other mayors, I am going to email mayors of every city in Lincoln County and ask for their support, as well as Claire Hall's, God forbid, to get, as soon as you enter Highway 20 in Lincoln County, it's a safety corridor. As soon as you enter on Highway 18 in Lincoln County, it's a safety corridor. And as soon as you enter 101 in Lincoln County, it's a safety corridor. I firmly believe that our citizens and our tourists alike deserve better. And ODOT removing that was a huge mistake. I talked to Brian about this before, using his friend that passed. She should not have died. If they weren't hauling ass and falling so close, that woman would not have died. So that's part one. Part two, I want to formally request again that we name that public safety building after Officer Summer. I think that that would be a huge honor to his family, and I really think that personally, that should be a memorial for Officer Summer.
Yeah, I like it. I think we all have liked it. when we heard it.
So
Sumter Hall or Sumter something, maybe we'll come up with
Sumter
a
Memorial Hall or something like
Sumter
that.
Station, that's good.
Yep. And that is all I have.
All right. Counselor Kaufman?
Nothing.
Okay. I also attended the LOC conference. Yes, I heard comments good and bad. Oh, that's right. I skipped over to the council president because I'm used to going the other way. Go get him.
I just have one quick question. I have to throw out a disclaimer. I don't want to raise rates on anybody for anything beyond what we're already doing. But it came up with a bunch of counselors. They made us all mix with other people we didn't know to talk about ideas, different things going on. And it came up, all the cities that were sitting at the table have a public safety charge through one of their utilities or whatever. And they were like, where is yours at? And I'm like, I'm not aware that we have a public safety charge. So I just thought that was interesting. Okay, so that confirms that I didn't know if I was answering dumb and there was one somewhere.
No, so to give you a bit of history, and former Mayor Chambers can attest to this. He was on council when we put in the road fee. That was how long? 6 months of wrangling over, A, do we do it? B, how much do we do it? Do we want to increase it ever? The whole 9 yards. It was difficult because of all the other things that were going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, I get it.
It's a good discussion to have, but we got to realize that that again comes into, well, that's another fee.
Yeah,
Right.
and I also know that our community is incredibly depressed, like more so than a lot of others.
It's part of the reason why one of my stops yesterday in Salem was to talk with a certain government agency about figuring out how do we get off the Measure 54950 train equitably. Those are the three measures that codify how we do property tax. Okay, and because the way they are now, they're giant shackles on most of, especially your smaller governments. We need to find a way to make taxes not just lower, but equitable to everybody. For right now, and I can send you, I'll send it to David so he can send it out to you guys, but surveys taken by LOC from across the state, we went and it's my fault the survey cost an extra 20 grand. Because I said, we've got to talk to people in Eastern Oregon, we've got to talk to people in Southern Oregon, we've got to talk to people everywhere. The number of people that don't know how our property tax system works is huge. Most people think we reset on sale, but we don't. Okay, and what reset on sale means is that when that person who has that ocean view place, and when they bought it for 105. And when they sold it for 650. Their property tax didn't go up based on that $650 value. It went up at what that value was worth in 1993, plus or minus a few percent, depending upon how they calculate. And that blows people's mind. Like, are you kidding? There are other anomalies within our system that the vast majority of citizens in this state don't understand. We've got to remember that from 1996 to 2025, the population of the state of Oregon has doubled. Now, I guarantee you that's not all the locals with a lot of rabbits. Okay, we've had a lot of people move here. Okay. And they come from all kinds of different systems. They come from all kinds of different ways to do taxation. Okay. Nobody really knows. When you pick up a high school textbook, they don't talk about local government except for 4 pages to say that if there is local government. And that's because it is so vastly different everywhere you go in this country. Okay. So you can't do a one size fits all thing on local government. And you can't do a one size fits all on local taxation. So we've got to do a better job of educating, but we've got to have a change to the way this system works now. There's got to be a better way, which leads me into my time at the LOC. Like Tracy, I heard good things and bad things about Toledo, which was interesting because most of them know me and they've basically only heard the good things from me. So that tells me they're getting their sources somewhere else. But one of the things that people did comment to me that I was kind of baffled by in this regard, what we went through, right? It was really, really hard on us. Okay, as a council, right? I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Okay. But in the view of especially the other towns on the coast, they were surprised that it wasn't bigger in the news, in social media, in other things. We somehow managed to not have it go too far outside the county. Because then they would immediately go to, and it didn't matter where they were from. Mayor Paisley asked me about Walport. And I'll just leave you with that. you know, we may not be quote professionals at this job, but I think we do a pretty doggone good job for who we are and what we try to do. And I want all of you to understand that I got good, what I would consider to be good reviews after all of what we went through. So thanks to all of you. It wasn't pretty, but we came out the other end in better shape than a lot of people thought we would. So remember that as we go forward. And I will adjourn this meeting. We'll take a 10-minute recess and come back and do the URA.
That part. Yeah, the recording.